Hello, everyone. Going all gas, no break. Welcome to Canton Chronicle Live. I'm your host, John Camo. Some of you know me as Mongo, the hockey guy. Some called me Jethro. Most of you know me by my Twitter name, Dixie Enormous. And back in the co-host chair is Eric D. So as I bring him on to the show, run to the fridge, grab your pricks and ciders, text all the Cronks and tell them that Canton Chronicle is live.
Hey, John, how's it going, buddy?
What's going on, Eric?
Well, I got to tell you, big night Tuesday night, huh?
Yeah.
You really...
So, before we get into that, I have one quick thing I want to say. I'm going off script. Boozy, she's with us again, and she's not in the opening. So she's been in every show except for one, and I'm thinking. I think it's time that Boozy makes an entrance into the opening.
What
do you think?
More, absolutely.
What is
Boozy,
that?
Boozy, you all right with that?
What does that mean?
That means you've been in every episode except for one, and so you are part of the show.
I think it was 2 or 3. I think it was like 2 or 3.
Maybe 2. Not the first. Yeah, not the first 2. I think since then you've been pretty much a staple.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So, Eric, what were you going to say? Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say is that I was awfully proud of you. You really hit a grand slam when you took your 3 minutes.
Yeah. Oh. I guess. Do you want to revisit it real quickly?
I'd love to see it again.
Yeah.
I don't have the comments up. Sorry, people. Yeah. Hi, everybody. So real quickly. Thank you all the Cronks for being here, all the chat people. I want to thank all the people who are watching this, and it's actually 8:30. It's an hour ahead because we have a lot of my family and friends watching from the Canadian Maritimes. So hello, bonjour, comment ça va? And also real quickly, I want to put a big shout out to all the people who watch that on replay that put texts in, comments in the replay. Thank you guys for watching us on replay. I appreciate it. Yeah. So Tuesday. Holy crap. All right. I'll play. Let me just bring it up. Right. We'll bring up. This was my 2 minutes. You know.
Conscious of guilt.
Let me back this thing here. I know it was paid back. Let's start from the beginning of my little.
Jonathan Camo, Attleboro, Mass. First, I'd like to extend sincere congratulations to Susan Harrington on this historic election. Tonight's the first time in Canton's history 2 women now sit on the board at the same time. That matters, that's progress, and it should be recognized. Progress is only meaningful if we also have the courage to look in the mirror and ask hard questions. So here's mine. Why are so many people, including some of you sitting up there right now, still willing to look the other way when it comes to a police department that was caught misappropriating taxpayer money? Let's call it what it is. It was salary fraud. A detective was paid for time that he didn't work. His vehicle was cleaned with taxpayer money. Sick time was manipulated. On-call schedules were padded. And the only reason any money was paid back 2 years later was because a nationally recognized outlet started FOIA requesting it. Mm-hmm. That's not transparency. That's damage control. That's conscious of guilt. It was paid back 1 day after the FOIA request from Vanity Fair, which was only 25 days before the audit committee had their presentation at the Canton High School auditorium. But there's more. Another detective, while on duty, got drunk, lost track of his firearm and badge, and his best course of action, he wanted them left in his mailbox. That happened here in Canton. So again, I say, what's your number? What's the number, the dollar amount, the safety risk, where the people right here in the front of the room finally say enough? Because if an officer leaving a gun unattended and a department stealing public money doesn't warrant outrage, what will? And more importantly, how can we trust the 5 people sitting here tonight to hold anyone accountable when none of you even say publicly that this was wrong? This isn't about law enforcement, it's about leadership. It's about whether we, the citizens, believe you are working for us or just circling the wagons to protect each other. So I'm going to end with this. It shouldn't be hard for a public official to look at the residents and say, yes, this was wrong. But until someone does, we don't expect to trust you. You guys expect more questions and expect more people asking them. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well done, John. Right message, right time.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's how I felt. And yet they still don't say anything. There's been not one word of rebuttal since April 4th, Saturday, right? And then right there to them. Nothing in the paper. We read the Citizen today. There was nothing in the Citizen. It was all how good the audit was. So
What?
in the Citizen, there was Michael Loughran, the chairman, was touting on how well it was, how good the audit was. But you know what? In a little bit, people, we're gonna have someone that's gonna we're gonna have a professional tell us how good that audit was. All right, but Chris had his say too. Chris had his say.
Should we
play.
watch what Chris had to say?
Hey, did you know how long Chris's speech was? Take a guess how long Chris's speech was.
22 seconds.
22 seconds. How ironic and a coincidence.
Is it really 22 seconds?
It's honestly 22 seconds.
Oh, I'm using this. Oh,
It's
my
22
God.
seconds. And you know how much can be talked about in 22 seconds, right? Nothing
No,
substantial.
you can't have a conversation in 22 seconds.
Well, let's see. Let's see what 22 seconds is. Here we go.
I sit here meeting after meeting and absorb what I absorb, and that's fine. But I think it's negligent upon us that if a speaker gets up and they spread disinformation, that it should be brought to light. And one of the speakers tonight spread misinformation and disinformation. And I just want it to be known that just because somebody says something doesn't make it factually true.
22 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you know how like in court, the lawyer gets up and then the other lawyer then gets up and then the first lawyer gets to get back up there for a rebuttal, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I have a rebuttal. Would you guys like to see my rebuttal?
Here we
It's
go.
it's just over 2 minutes. I think we should hear my rebuttal, right?
I think chat wants to hear your rebuttal.
Chat, you guys want to hear my rebuttal? I'm going to play it anyways, whether you say yes or no.
Give the people what they want, John.
I'm going to
Right.
say it anyways. Here we go.
I sit here meeting after meeting and absorb what I absorb, and that's fine.
I sit here meeting after meeting, sipping ice dunks, barely breathing. I absorb what I absorb, yeah, that's a quote, like a wet sponge in a select board coat.
And absorb what I absorb, and that's fine.
I'm not saying I'm wicked smart, but I play the part with all my heart. If someone speaks and I don't agree, well then it's misinformation, obviously.
Speaker gets up and they spread disinformation.
I absorb what I absorb.
That was the
that's
beginning of it all.
fine. Just don't ask questions or cross that
We also
line.
have the courage to look in the mirror and ask hard questions.
Truth's a tricky thing in a town this small. It don't count if it makes me look bad at town hall. So go ahead, run your mouth, but I'll be sitting here scrolling sound. Just 'cause it's true don't mean it's right. If I ain't saying it ain't seeing daylight.
And I just want it to be known that just because somebody says something doesn't make it factually true.
Now I ain't calling names, God forbid, I'm just saying you lie.
You lie.
Like a little bit. You brought facts, well that's cute. But around here we prefer a quieter truth. Or maybe one that don't rock the boat, or mention folks wearing a uniform coat. I'm all for speaking freedom and such, but if you speak facts, you're doing too much.
I did
Let's
too
call
much.
it what it is. It was salary fraud.
Fraud.
A detective was paid for time that he didn't work. His vehicle was cleaned with taxpayer money. Sick time was manipulated. On-call schedules were padded.
Sure, maybe I zoned out a bit during the audit, or that dog thing, whatever it is. But when I talk, you better respect, even if I contradict myself mid-sentence.
It's negligent upon us that
Negligent.
if the speaker gets up and
I absorb what I absorb, I know it's true. I've got no plan, but I'll scold you. This ain't Boston, we don't throw fists, we just make you disappear off the minutes list. So mind your tone and don't be loud. This is small town gaslighting makes us proud. If you want truth, go knock on the door. Here we absorb, then pretend we saw more.
You know, I sit here meeting after meeting and absorb what I absorb, and that's fine. But I think it's negligent upon us that if a speaker gets up and they spread disinformation.
You're an idiot. And I'm going to explain why you're an idiot.
I love Judge Judy.
Johnny, are you adding singer, songwriter, producer to your resume?
Right?
I'm gonna. You know what? That's gonna go. I have Spotify. I have 4 songs on Spotify. I think I'm going to add that one. That one's going up.
You get to 10, you'll have an album.
I think that one's going up. All right, so we had our fun. All right, so now we got to bring the seriousness. We got to bring the seriousness back. You know. So tonight we're joined by someone who was not paid, not prompted, not politically pressured to state the obvious. Lawrence Smith, he's the author of the forthcoming true crime book, 6 Degrees of Corruption, The Fleecing of a City, which hopefully if it's not in print yet, they might put a little chapter called Canton Hold My Beer in there. We clear up a few things, all right? No one paid him to write his reports. We all saw the 5-page report last week. He wasn't on any payroll, didn't get no big contract. He wasn't promised a Lifetime Achievement Award in municipal cover-ups. His involvement started last fall when his company, the STIRM Group, STIRM, withdrew their bid to the town's police audit process, and we'll get into that. And it was leaked by someone. That's real subtle. But he made a brief statement after that, back in November, and then he did the unthinkable. He just shut up, stayed silent, and he was probably busy. He was probably in some evidence room doing an audit for another company. But it was only after Five Stone's audit report dropped that he was asked by listeners who remembered him from the Young Jerks podcast, YouTube show. I apologize, Mike Crawford. It was your show he was on, the Young Jerks show, last fall. People asked him, can you take a closer look at this, at this audit report? So that led to his report, like I said, that we saw last week, the 5 pages. And we went through it last week, but now we have him on live tonight with us. Eric, bring him up.
Hey, folks. Hey, Eric.
Hey,
John.
Mr. Smith. Hello,
Boozy.
Mr. Smith.
Hi,
Oh,
Larry.
it's Larry, please. Thank you.
Oh, Boozy's already on a first name basis. You're Mr. Smith.
I'm good. I'm Larry. Thank you.
Hi, Larry. Thank you for coming on with us.
Thank you for having me.
We had a couple email exchanges, and I was like, oh my God, you know what? I'm just a guy that read the report, and I had my one thing that I was sticking on that I was pissed about. But then I'm like, hey, let's bring the professional on that knows way more than us. So let's start from way back. Well, let's start. Where do we start? Let's start with, who is the STIRM Group?
The STIRM Group was started back, was rebranded from Crisis Solutionist in 2020. And so I am the owner. And it's a collection of retired federal and state law enforcement officials, police chiefs that have unique specialties. The investigators have auditors. So it's basically a list of individuals. None of them want to work full time. Other ones have full-time jobs and
what's wrong with working full time?
Well, some of them are a little bit older because, when you bring that kind of experience to the table, you got to.
You don't want to work
your years in.
You don't want to work 40 hours a week like the rest of us?
Oh, I work more than 40 hours a week.
What is your background?
I'm a retired state trooper.
Massachusetts state trooper.
Northeastern.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Certified fraud examiner.
Yeah.
Certified protection professional from the American Society of Industrial Security. And I own the company, and I've got a background in fraud and fraud relation from my time at the state police. I did several years over at Homeland Security doing document fraud. Document veteran fraud.
And you were and you love animals because you were in the mounted division.
I was.
Yeah.
Back a few pounds ago. I
What,
feel sorry for horse today.
Let me. So I love horses. I have to ride a quarter horse because of my weight. What size horse did you have?
I was on a thoroughbred. He was 18 hands, named Abazar.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I average around 290, so 280, 290. So so I have to always make sure I get a big horse. Yeah. Okay. So there's 5 of you?
Oh, there's more than 5.
There's more than 5.
Oh, there was 9 sitting in on the Canton project.
Okay. Well,
so 9 other
while we're there
when we sat there.
Yeah. So basically, you guys were watching that meeting, you guys were watching one of the meetings back in the fall of 2024.
Yep.
And what was were there red flag? You put in a bid, right? You guys you had a bid put in.
No, you stopped. We didn't even know, because before we moved forward, we reviewed this proposal. Okay. We went over it page by page, word for word. Yep. We had a lawyer that's a college professor that was a former police officer. We had members instructors from FBI LEDA staff at one point in time. We've had retired police chiefs. We had a DEA agent. Wow. And they were all coming in from out of state. We had a use of force expert coming out from out west. So these are the people that were coming in, and almost all of them were coming in from out of state. And even with them coming as the experts that they are, I mean, these are the people that write the books that teach us how to do what we do. Yeah. And so I would have been the anchor, because I'm the only one. I'm the mass trooper.
You're the mass guy. Yep.
So I would have been an anchor on us. So a lot of work and a lot of effort to put these bids together and put them in. A lot of time. So you think about them, you talk about them, you discuss them. We voted it down unanimously.
And did you see any of those meetings?
I did.
And so you're sitting at home and you're watching these meetings, and is your jaw, was it different than other, because you've audited other police departments, so you must have watched other meetings in other towns.
I've seen plenty of other town meetings and whatnot. I've never seen anything as unprofessional as what the IAC board was. Wow. That was 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2. You didn't even have to take a vote. You just knew what it was going to be. And I mean, almost a textbook definition of a hostile work environment on the behalf of the IAC chair. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw what he was saying and how he was saying it to these people.
Mm-hmm.
And so you guys see that, and you're just like, yeah, no.
No. It was I don't need that aggravation.
And
Not for
what
that short of, not for that fun, not for that much money.
what were like the parameters on what you guys all collectively like agreed upon? Like what were the main things that you guys were like, oh no, like this is not it?
It was so vague and so all inclusive. There were no goals that were able to be obtained because there was nothing that established what they wanted. We recommended, once we voted it down, we actually wrote that letter to withdraw because we had to actually request the package from town and then had it emailed to us. So I felt it to be only appropriate to let them know that we're withdrawing. And in doing that, there were some glaring issues with the RFP that we identified and the scope, and it was really voted as a no-win situation. And, Five Stones is kind of finding out right now. It's
Aren't they?
It's a no-win situation because even if they delivered the golden egg, and I'm not saying it's a horrible report, but I'm saying if they delivered the golden egg, they'd still be in the same position they're in right now.
Right.
And you're not, folks, he's not on here saying whether Five Stones did a good job or a bad job. He's just saying that their company was like, yeah, no, we're good. The price, the scope, the time limit, basically everything, right? There was nothing that.
Think about it this way: time limit. They got started on November 18th. So November 18th, you have Veterans Day. In November, you had Thanksgiving holiday. Then you roll into Christmas. You got Christmas week. You have New Year's Eve. Then you walk into President's Day. You walk into school vacation week. People are going to be gone. People were prepping for the second Karen Reed trial. We had serious concerns about what access we would have to records and things of that nature because of what was going on. We were concerned about, and I think Five Stones is about to find out who's going to, because they're now on a witness list from what I've seen.
Yeah.
So,
and they were flying back. They were flying up and back.
And that's what I'm saying. So now they're going to have to come, who's flying them up here? Who's paying for those expenses?
Right. But they would no, but even during the audit, you got to think of the lost time of them flying back, back and forth.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they did it because we were going to have to bring people in from out of state, put them up in rooms and whatnot. And that's expensive. We did it when we did a police department in the state just because traffic was going to be so bad. You get done 8-10 hours of auditing. Last thing you want to do is fight 2.5 hours to get home. And it's only 70 miles.
Now, I'm going way out of order off my script, but when you guys are auditing a police station, like you said, it's 8 hours a day. Like on average, these, especially here in Massachusetts, a normal town, we're not talking a city, but but a normal town, how long is it in the evidence room, or how long, is it can you block it off to give us just a sense of what they were doing?
Well, we focus more on evidence. We don't usually, we'd bring in experts like we were going to do for Canton.
Yeah.
But for evidence, we have all the tools and resources here in state between troopers that I've worked with, people that are actually done hundreds of, maybe not hundreds, but dozens of evidence audits. My lead auditor did over 30 when he was part of the staff inspections for the state police. So we have experience with doing the audits. I've got the fraud background and the physical security background. We understand what the industry best standards and practices are. So I can speak to it from that standpoint, from a totality of doing the whole operation from soup to nuts, basically cover to cover of the policies and do a deep dive like that. I'd have to defer to the individual that was actually going to run this project for us. And that's not me.
Now, is there somebody that basically is the liaison with you guys almost the whole time in the
evidence
department?
Custodian?
There's a custodian for the police department, whoever.
For evidence in property rooms, because of the nature of what those items are, drugs, guns, sexual assault, high value, cash, general evidence, things of that nature.
Yeah. So our chat's blowing up with people asking, did you say Five Stones is on the witness list? Did we?
I thought I saw them on. I saw them on a witness list.
I know there
been-
was motions about bringing the audit in. I don't know if they're actually the auditors are on the list. Let me pull it up. I can get back to you guys.
All right, we're gonna get back. Boozy's gonna research that for you guys. I was too busy making music videos, so I don't know that answer. Sorry. Okay, so there's a liaison, and then now we saw some other things in the audit of how about the morale? Do you guys deal with a whole morale section of it?
It depends on what we come in to do. I mean, if we were coming in to do an evidence investigation because there was an evidence room that had been compromised and there was missing evidence and there was indications that it was tampered with or stolen or something of that nature, they might bring somebody like us in to do that investigation from an internal standpoint. Because the chief really kind of needs to stay out of that mix because they're going to be the judge, jury, and executioner depending upon what we find and identify.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we recommend chiefs only go in their own evidence room twice. Basically, when you're taking a tour because you got the job, and when you're giving the tour because you're leaving the job. In between, you had designated a subordinate to be the rep for that. So your deputy, your LT, whoever it is, to be the supervisor of that evidence department would be our recommendations.
And we already know it's already being tended to. Like one of the items was that there's a dead zone of the radios in one section of town, which happens to be Canton Center, which it's just ironic I mean, I can kind of see it because the police station used to be only just outside of the center. Now it's a little further out, and I don't know where all the repeaters are in town, but they're already working on it. Is that when you go to the station, when you're auditing police stations, are you doing that too? Are you looking at all the equipment?
When we do something, if we did that for Canton, we'd go soup to nuts. We'd go over the policies. We'd go through everything in the MPAC manual because they're an MPAC accredited agency. So we would have gone through everything with them for their last assessment. We would have gone through all their policies. We would have run them through a comparison to find out if there was any updates that needed to be done. There's a lot of things that we probably would have done, but here's the thing, 200,000, very tight window for operations. And then to write 206 pages, that takes a considerable amount of time. Even if you're writing it as you're going and doing everything else,
that's a lot of Control C, Control V.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, you want to build, there's certain points that you can do that, but a lot of that stuff has to be written as each individual department. So that takes a considerable amount. Not
saying your company, but what do you think the average and not Canton's? Let's not look at Canton's. Let's just look at what would the average cost of a small town's audit without how Canton did it with the shortened length of time. Like if they were going to do a real audit, what are you looking at?
Well, that depends on what the town calls for, because that's what the scope of the contract identifies. You can have us come in and do a soup to nut, or you can have us come in and do a use of force evidence. You can do a use of force and evidence. You pick what you want and you define what the actual scope is. It's
what
just
about
like
probable cause? Would you guys look at that too? All the different probable cause?
I'm not quite understanding what you mean.
Like if there's different scenarios in which probable cause has come up and they didn't have it, let's say, and so they lost cases because of it, because there was a glaring show that the officers clearly don't know what probable cause is and isn't.
Well, we'd go through the policies, and when we're going through the policies, we're going to pull reports that match up to these things. So use of force. So whether it's deployment of use of force, reporting something else's use of force, whether it's all those things. So if you're seeing something and we're going through and we're seeing things that are highlighting, like, wait a minute, did you see probable cause? But we're not going to go back and do that unless that is specifically requested. We're not requested. We don't come back to provide reevaluations or reinvestigations. That wouldn't be part of an audit. That would be something that's a little bit more specific, and it would be tailored because there was probable cause to warrant that type of look, as opposed to an audit. An audit is a picture of where a department is at that time that the audit is taking place. It doesn't affect what happened yesterday. It doesn't affect what's going forward. We provide recommendations after we identify concerns, and they may implement them and they may not.
So, and you mentioned the policies.
Yes.
In Massachusetts, a lot of small towns, how much do these policies, is it pretty much the same? Do they differ by a ton? Like, are we, is it like
I've been in one
similar across the
department.
board?
I went in one department to do an evidence evaluation. They had absolutely zero evidence policies.
No policies.
None.
Jesus.
They've been
So-
corrected since,
Yeah.
and they've been corrected and brought to the level of being able to pass MPAC and accreditation assessment. So those policies were addressed and brought up to speed. But that was also a new chief coming in and saying, "Hey, I need an evidence evaluation because it's my biggest vulnerability." That chief subsequently told me that was the biggest transfer of liability he's ever seen, because he was able to take that evaluation and say, "We need money."
Wow. Wouldn't policies be like something that would be in almost every audit? Shouldn't that be one of the things that you
They weren't
look at?
They weren't an accredited agency at the time.
No, I mean, like, as an auditor, wouldn't you want that in the scope of almost every audit to make sure that these police departments are following policies, and they have policies?
Well, if you have the policies, but it's not necessarily the auditor's place to tell you whether or not you're following the policies, because I'm not going out on a patrol and watching what's happening unless that was something that you dictated to be in the scope of the service.
Right.
So it's not our place to second guess, just like it's tough to really provide in-depth criticism of somebody if it's tough to how do you confirm policies are followed?
Yeah. So actually, I want, before you get to that, Eric, there's so many questions coming through the chats. Can you just star the ones that and we'll ask them?
Yeah,
People,
no problem.
don't worry. We'll star all these questions because,
You got a
it's
good
going
one.
so fast.
Write it again.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go backwards.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Just if you got your questions, Eric will try to star them, and we'll get back to them, and we get them, because I mean,
Yeah, I'll
some
be
people
happy
have
to
more
answer them
questions
at
than
the
I
end.
have. Yeah. Because I mean, this guy's incredible. So,
Thank you.
yeah. No, I mean, not at the end, because we got other stuff to talk about later. We got some. Yeah. So what? We do. This is going to be a fun show. I said it's going to be fun, informative, but fun.
They're always fun.
Yeah. All right. So I guess let's get to the. I don't know how I'm going to ask it, but I know you know where I'm going to try to go with this. Of how is it the accreditation process? Okay, how is it that I don't want to single Canton out, but when you see the audit and it says fail to do what we would have liked to see, like, time after time, and people just, half the town looked at that audit and said, "Oh my God, we're doing great." The other half looked at it and saw all the stuff that needs to be done, and you look at it and say, "Well, how can they be accredited? Who's accrediting them?"
Exactly. And I know who's accrediting them. There was a misunderstanding on my behalf in the response. I noticed that in the review, the reviewing Five Stones, that they said they had the Canton. When I went to the CALIA certification, when I went to the CALIA website, there is a Canton, but it's not Canton, Massachusetts. I missed the Massachusetts because I was checking it on my phone.
Okay.
So I thought they had both of them. They do not currently have a CALIA one. They do have a Mass Police accreditation one.
Okay.
And they've had that since 2015, and it's been reviewed and renewed at least once.
Okay. And how often do towns have that? Do you know?
It's supposed to be every 3 years, I believe. And I'm not 100% sure because they just updated their assessment manuals and policies, their own internal policies and stuff. So I don't know what those are because I don't have access to those.
Right. Another question that comes up.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with this. Some other people do. I have a small problem, and this is in the hiring process, right? They want to say that there's a selective service town, but there's always ways around it, meaning, you could hypothetically roll the dog officer under the power of the Canton Police Department, then put someone into the dog officer position and then move them up as opposed to hiring. I'm just coming up with a scenario off the top of my head. I'm not,
Potential.
hypothetically,
It could happen.
right? It could happen.
might have
Somebody
seen
knows
stuff like
somebody.
that,
It
but
could be
I might have
could be
seen
a
stuff
family
like that.
member, right? And then a lot of people from the town you grow up in work in the town you grow up in. I mean, that's how it's been our whole lives. We used to know everybody.
Right.
What issues do you see with that? Like the people that live in the town, work in the town?
It's tough. I mean, it's you don't go you don't fish in your back in your own you don't fish in your own pond. You don't
My father said
hunt in
that
your own
differently.
backyard. It's I prefer to go away. I didn't really enjoy working anywhere near my house because you do you run into all these people, all these friends. I mean, and it's what favor do you have to give or not necessarily give, but it makes it a lot more difficult. As a trooper, I didn't really run into that. It's,
Right.
I mean, I might stop the same person twice or three times over the course of 2 or 3 years, but that's a rarity. So you guys, small area, small department, everybody knows everybody. It's tough. It's it's like that.
And
old adage.
that's where sometimes those phone calls come in because everybody's got everybody's phone number. You might not want to call 911. You might want to call your buddy because he's on.
That might,
It
may
happens.
happen.
It happens, right?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever called the local police department in a emergency capacity outside of work. So, but I can understand how something happened like that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
It may have just been caught on a body cam footage as of like 2 days ago.
That's kind of hard to get away from.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny you say that because we haven't told anybody yet. But the person who we're talking about, mass accountability, we're going to have him on Sunday night, folks. So all that body cam footage of Chris Albert and Colin Albert and Lanka and Sergeant Good, no good. We're going to get all that on Sunday. Just little heads up. We got another fun show coming up Sunday. But
Yeah, fun.
you know what? We try, right? We try to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You keep it going. Keep it light. Keep it easy. I get it.
So I got a couple of questions.
Yep.
This one, not all of them come from me, but so in Five Stone's presentation, they said they reviewed 75 internal affair investigations and disciplinary actions since 1991. There was 63 were cleared, 12 were acts of sustained violations, which resulted in 4 suspensions, 1 demotion, and 7 counseling training sessions. These IA investigations were the result of civilian complaints, and they were addressed at the discretion of supervision based on performance and observations. So, Five Stones said Canton Police Department had been over-reporting to the Post Commission, and they showed the recent addition of Detective Albert's paid suspension for his alcohol consumption on duty. However, when you look at the Officer Disciplinary Records database, sorted alphabetically by agency, not by officer, which Five Stones had shown, on page 173, you see Canton only has 2 entries, the Albert edition and a previous one for a former Boston police officer who's now a Canton police officer. So the post database goes back 25 years, includes everything from written warnings to counseling training or terminations. And it was last updated in March. So where are the other 10 to 12 Canton disciplinary records? Did they all predate 2000?
Depends on what the record retentions is for the internal affairs records. I'm not sure what that is. I know what the I know what some of the record retention requirements are. Police internal affairs prior to, I thought those went with us forever.
Well, you would think the 4 suspensions and a demotion would have been logging, those would have been logged in. And they've got to be, since 2000 on, they've got to be somewhere, unless they're saying everything that's happened before 2000, nothing in the last 25 years. It's just weird. It's just a coincidence that it doesn't show. And then if Five Stones was correct in saying discretion is a situational and that the circumstances of each offense should be considered, well, don't you think that they should be more, it should have been more explicitly spelled out that there's been abuse of power with discretion? It just seems that their discretion is ruling everything.
Things have changed since 2020 when in Minneapolis when Floyd was killed. So things have definitely changed. Requirements and things of that nature that might have been a little bit looser back in the days of what got done and what got reported or how it was kept. But we were on our way to the accreditation phase. There was going to be more accountability. I mean, came with the advent of cell phones, with the involvement of time, the cameras are everywhere now. You got them in the cars, you got them cell phones, you got them on pole cameras, you got them on the highways. I mean, it makes it harder to get to do anything or go anywhere without being accounted for. So you've got that aspect. I mean, so now there's more accountability because of the cameras. There's more accountability because of the stronger policies. There's better training that came out of some of this stuff. I mean, there's some good stuff out of the MPTC. There's a lot of bad stuff out of the MPTC. They've gone and done some construction. They've opened up some new facilities. Kudos, great for them. We can talk about other aspects of the MPTC at some point in time if you want, but we can keep moving forward, or we can talk about whatever you want.
I just like the discretion thing. I mean, Five Stones talked about it several times right here. There's nothing about discretion in their policies. No, there isn't. Right. But that's what they used. When they talked about the bunny, the $20,000 bunny. We all know what you're talking about, right? The day before Thanksgiving event, right? They used discretion. Because it all got paid back, and the guy signed a thing saying that, no harm, no foul. And now you have, and the thing is nobody's held accountable. It just discretion. We understand discretion as you get pulled over for going, 35, 40 and a 25, and the guy, they look and you have a good clean record, and you're not, they found discretion. They'll give you a verbal warning, tell you to slow down, go on the way. Maybe they give you a written warning. That's discretion.
Right.
The $20,000, Larry, you know what I'm talking about, the bunny, right?
No, I didn't. I'm putting it together because I've heard bits and pieces
Okay.
But
yes.
Let me give you this.
The Thanksgiving Day bunny. Yes.
Let me give you this. You have, here's a sample question that pretty much every police recruit gets. You stop your buddy. Do you lock him up if he's drunk? Yes or no? Or
did you do a field sobriety test? Did you do a field sobriety test?
Oh yeah, no. If it's blatantly obvious, they walk you through. You try to walk
you do
it because you don't want to deal with it. But do you lock the buddy up?
Yes, you do.
That's the right answer, technically. There's a lot of people that wouldn't. They'd give him a ride home. Back in the day, that has gotten a lot harder to do. So I'm not going to say it doesn't happen.
This was a number of years ago.
Anywhere near what it
This
does
is a number of
usually.
years ago. There's a Boston cop who lives in Canton who got pulled over less than a mile from his house. Eric will know Cobb's Corner. He got pulled over at Cobb's Corner by a Sharon cop. Lost his license and everything. Yep, Sharon cop on a Boston cop. Guy was less than a mile from his house. Yeah,
happens.
they got him.
Yeah. It happens. But in the old days, there were different things. That's why the involvement of the accreditation programs is supposed to be helping with the policies. That's why the supervision, the training, all that.
We got someone in the chat. We have someone in the chat that played hockey with me. My father was our coach, high school. So seniors in high school. These kids could drive from the rink. We played every Sunday night at this local college that just happened to be the rink, and it was 6 different towns. I'm riding with my mother and father. We leave the rink, and my father was always the last one to leave. He's the coach. He wants to make sure everyone's gone. We're not even a mile from the rink. There's a cop who's already pulled over 2 of the kids who just were on the ice with my father. My father pulls over, goes up, checks with the cop. You can't do that now. You can't walk up on a cop now and a stop. But this is back then. This is like 1986, 87. They had booze in the car. My father knew they weren't drinking, but they had the booze. They were going to go drinking. Yeah. And he just had the cop, asked the cop, and the cop, they poured it out right in front of the kids. And my father vouched for them, and off we went. Can't do that anymore.
No, and that's what I'm saying. So we were on our way to the accountability era before Floyd, and Floyd just kind of kicked it into an accelerated process. So it is come around. It has made a big difference. Cameras have, I think there's a lot of towns that have been disenchanted that they didn't get the results that they were hoping they were going to find, that, we're a bunch of knuckle draggers that pound the crap out of everybody because the cameras have saved more of us from discipline than it has hung other people out for discipline.
Now, I said I was going to save all the questions to the end, but one of them was, who audits the auditors?
Well, that's an interesting thing. That's why you change auditors. That's actually the best. You can have an auditing company, a CPA company, anybody that's doing business for you in those sensitive positions that have the access and the means and the ability and potentially the motive. You want to, rotate them out. There's fraud prevention techniques. You put people out make them take a 2-week vacation and have
peer
somebody else
reviews.
do that job. Peer reviews.
Someone saying in the chat, peer reviews. I'm just wondering if,
Yep. I mean, the best access for discovery of fraud is the internal tip line.
Mm-hmm. Now, we didn't bring you on here to really go after the auditors per se, but when I watch it, and probably because I'm slanted, because because I looked at the audit report one way and I saw their presentation one way. How does did you watch that presentation?
I watched a little bit of it, and then something came up and I didn't get back to it.
No, so you saw some of it, and can you talk about the style of it at least, without basically critiquing? We're not asking you to be armchair
the report's
quarterback.
well put together. I mean, the report's put together well. I mean, it's well written and whatnot. Again, it's going to come back to the fact that they were so limited in time, and and the scope was so wide open. They did the best that they could do, I guess. I think there were a couple opportunities that they missed. Being able to delve into why did you fall so far out of accreditation? Because there has to be a reason for it, and who's responsible for it. Well, that starts at the leadership, and that's really what it comes down to. Captain goes down with the ship, and if you're that bad that you have the internal affairs, the evidence, the stuff that they identified, I don't know. I think it's hard to recover from that when you're the new leader.
I just have a follow-up question
Go ahead.
too. So,
Yeah.
just basing, because I was present for that the public meeting.
Yep.
And my question would be regarding like customer service, public affairs. There was quite a few instances where the auditor seemed a little bit more defensive versus explanatory, like wanting to not calm public perception in a way. And my question would be, do you guys have like a code of ethics to stand by? Like, is there any kind of like rules when it comes to dealing with the public? Because oftentimes these audits come out because of public concerns, right?
The state police actually has a policy telling you what you have to do if somebody comes in and wants to take a complaint, somebody wants to come in and file a public records request. So everybody has that. It's part of their policy and procedure. And, so you can't just, no, go away. Can't do that. So they have it. It depends on what the training is. It depends on what the supervision is, because let's face it, anytime you adjust a policy, you create a new policy. Okay. We got a 5-letter acronym for it, and it's not post-traumatic stress. It's PTSD-A, and it's policy. So anytime you create a policy, you develop a new policy, you change a policy, you have to then move forward to the T. You have to train it. And training it isn't sending an email saying, read this and make sure you understand it. It's going over it, taking the time to train it, to train what you need them to do and make sure that they understand it, because you need them to, you can't set them up to fail. And I get it. They're supposed to turn around and make sure that you read it and you understood it. But I mean, in passing, you said the email, things of that nature. So you have that training. So make sure there's new training. After that, it goes to the supervision. So it comes down to the supervisors to make sure that the subordinates are doing their thing and the lieutenant's doing the thing for the supervisors. And if there's repetitive offenses or violations, well, then there's the discipline. So, and that may come to the supervisor failing to take care of it after being addressed, told to, or it could be the lower rank officer that ends up getting it. So that's all something that takes place. And that's how it's supposed to take place. And then the A stands for accountability. And, that's how you hold them accountable, because you've created the policy, you've trained them, you supervised them, you disciplined them when necessary. And here you are as accountability.
Mm-hmm. And would there be something for that on the auditor side too? Because we know of like police procedures, but when it comes to the auditing team, do you think you guys still adopt those same things, or is it something completely different?
I'm a certified fraud examiner, and we have our own code that we have to follow. And if we violate that, you can lose your certification, your accreditation. And you know what? I worked too hard to get the certification. And so I'm not going to violate what I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to do it for anybody. It's just not how I'm wired. So
Do you guys have a huge insurance binder for your company? I'm just curious. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, what happened? Like, did somebody ever threaten to sue you?
Yeah. Didn't work out well for them.
Oh, there you go.
He's no longer the city solicitor.
Oh, there you go. So a city tried to sue you. A city from Mass? Maybe. Yeah. Okay. We'll get into it.
I love this.
All right. So, and we go all over the place, and there's already 24 questions that have been starred, and I want to get through a couple of them because I mean, you're like this, right?
I can't read all of them because they go by too quick.
I know. So we starred some. How about this? How often is MPAC supposed to audit for maintenance of accreditation?
How often is MPAC supposed to audit
I'll
for
show
maintenance
it.
of accreditation?
Yeah. How often is MPAC supposed to audit for maintenance of accreditation?
3 years.
Every 3 years.
I believe it's 3 years. So.
Yeah. We already talked about that one. How do you confirm policies are being followed?
Well, that's more of an internal thing. It's not necessarily the auditor. I mean, obviously, if we start going through and we're auditing the evidence and we're going through and reviewing destruction paperwork, or we're reviewing sign-in logs, or reviewing other forms that are being completed, and all of a sudden we notice something that's not happening right. Well, here's your policy. and your policy's right, but this isn't correct. So that's, and evidence is a hard thing to deal with because for years it's not been, it's kind of been the redheaded stepchild, for lack of a better term. I'm not trying to offend any redheaded stepchildren. I apologize if that. But at the end of the day,
my girlfriend's a redhead.
But at the end of the day, where was I going with this? Sorry. I got to turn the comments back.
Yeah, don't look at the comments. I'll control the comments. How about this one? Can you confirm that this was not a forensic investigative audit?
I don't believe it was. Forensic to me is more of the financial aspect. I mean, it'd be an operational audit. It'd be a policy audit, but I don't believe it was a forensic audit. Forensic to me is all financial. So I think and that was the other thing I was going to say that I think they missed, besides the MPAC accreditation, was conducting a forensic audit of the asset forfeiture accounts, in any other house accounts that they may have had.
Okay. So this one, and there's a little more to this, and I'm going to add a little more to this. So is it normal? And I think I kind of know I think I know the answer to this one. Is it normal for the auditors to provide their thoughts on two specific cases and not all the cases they investigated? For example, Birchmore and Reed. And mind you, guys, remember, Friday night, we did almost 3 hours on Tim Taylor. Saturday, they started off their meeting, their little sermon to everybody with 10 minutes of Tim Taylor, and that was on page 190. They're going to tell you, the auditors, Five Stones, were going to tell you, we were told to look at these cases and not no other cases. That's why they didn't present other cases, and I think that's the answer.
Hold on that.
Oh, I could be wrong. Here we go.
Not included in the audit is rendering any opinion of guilt or innocence of a party, analysis of evidence collected in ongoing or prior criminal cases, or in reinvestigation of any case or finding of fact, and that's page 3.
There you go. Got your answer. So
I'm not sure if they did render those opinions. I didn't see them when I reviewed this, but I didn't read every word of 206 pages for free.
I don't think they gave their overall opinion. For example, they gave their opinions on this. They thought the leaf blower was a great idea. They said it was a great idea. They said it was controlled.
I think it's an absolute horrible idea.
Oh,
I did too.
And the lab tech guy that voted with us, that actually came up as an example when we were dealing with the vote. And they did what? Used a leaf blower. He's like, yeah.
And I feel like that's a normal response. I feel
think,
like that's a normal thing to question.
I think the best thing about that leaf blower is that it was shot on an iPhone video. It was the best footage of the whole case. It was better than any dash cam footage. It was better than any Ring doorbell footage. Oh, they didn't have any. It was better than any of John's Ring doorbell footage. It was better than the Sallyport videos. It was beautiful. You could see everything. I know what you didn't see. It was red taillight.
But the leaf blower, I mean, you're an accredited agency, and no contact was made inside. You didn't tent it. You had snow coming. You thought this was a vehicle that hit him at some point in time. Like I said, I don't know this case anywhere near as well as I need to be able to comment on it, because everybody else is already in this crowd. So I don't even have an opinion if she did it or didn't do it. I look at it strictly from an evidence point of view. And that's the only way.
The leaf blower thing.
I can intelligently talk about it, because I've got the experience and the understanding.
And over the years, you could probably say that 9 times out of 10, the leaf blower being 10, the other 9 times, they didn't, similar circumstances, some other scene, they didn't use a leaf blower. They used other
I've
means.
never seen a leaf blower used in a crime scene.
Especially coming from an officer who's about to retire, who's never done it before in his life, and this is what he decides to do right before he retires.
And they
You
had
find
a
that
tent.
odd?
And they had a tent. It was, and they had a tent in his car. He had
They
a tent.
and they didn't put the tent up.
Yes.
My so
He testified to it, John. Yes.
my problem with that is he lives one town away. Okay, he doesn't live in Canton. When he got called, he had a tent already in his car. He didn't put the tent in his car. He had one in his car, but he had no he had no winter gear. A guy that's been on a force that long, you mean to tell me of all the years that you've been on a force, the amount of gear, hats, gloves, jackets that you've accumulated in your life of working for a police department, you had to drive, and you knew that, and it wasn't it was a storm that wasn't a surprise. It wasn't taking anyone by surprise.
No.
He didn't have anything at home. He had to drive to the police station to get his winter jacket. He didn't have anything else to wear, but he had a tent in his car. That's where I just don't understand some of the stuff that goes on with them.
I mean, when you're on call, you're on call. I mean, you're not supposed to have to go to the station. You're supposed to be able to go to the scene. People get killed outside.
Usually, right?
Yeah.
Half the time people get killed outside. Can I say that? Because the other half, they're inside.
I would guess.
You're either outside or inside.
One or the other.
Yeah.
So no, I think the leaf blower was a horribly bad idea, and lab techs that I know think it's a horribly bad idea.
I have no clue what this means. I don't know what UCRs is. Ask Larry. If all the UCRs show an increase in crime rates from year to year in the serious crimes, shouldn't that be more of a red flag? It's time to do an outside church. We're going to get into the chief thing in a little bit, people. There's a ton of chief questions.
Okay.
What's UCR?
Off the top of my head, I'm not even recognizing because that's not.
This is probably something from 20 years ago, Peter. Tell us what a UCR is, Peter.
Uniform crime report. Sorry.
Okay. I don't know why you just didn't type
I believe that's it.
I'm so hard on him.
Because he didn't want to write it.
He's going to be mad at me. He's going to hate me. So if all the uniform crime reports show an increase in crime rates from year to year in the serious crimes, shouldn't that be a red flag to do? Well, not just a chief. Remember the one time. So Larry,
It's not just
me
the
and
chief's
you,
fault.
No. We had that conversation where when it came to the morale, Eric Boozy and I did a whole show on the officers' morale being low because of the citizens' outrage. And I'm like, the citizens are the fans of the team, and the officers are the team. If the team's not performing well, you can't just get rid of the team. You go to the coach. The coach is held responsible.
Right.
You know?
And that's really what it comes down to. I mean, I think I used the analogy in one of the letters is, Bill Belichick got fired from the Cleveland Browns. He got hired by the Patriots. He won 6 Super Bowls. It was fit. It was culture. It was the environment. And, and that's what it comes down to. He got to the Patriots. He got the tools he needed, and he had the authority and the access, and he was able to find and buy players that were willing to buy into his program. At this
But
point
he was
in time-
also the coach and GM.
Exactly.
Right.
But now but when you go to a police department, I mean, morale is a key component, and right now there's no morale in the department, from what I understand, and they're complaining that people are giving them grief when they're out at dinner, and I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I'm out with my mom, I'm out with my sister, I'm out with my family, I'm out with whoever. Leave me alone. I mean, I get you're upset with what's going on, but you have no right to do what you're doing to these officers off duty.
In the past, if that had happened to any of the officers that we knew growing up, if you even kind of were wise, Alec, to them or said something, they would come over and they would privately say something to you and tell you, hey, what you're doing is wrong. If you got a problem with me being in uniform, you can come down and talk to me. But right now I'm out with my family, just like you're out with your family. That's how it used to be handled. I think you're right. I think people shouldn't be. I think the tensions are just so high and everybody's yelling. I'm not one of them. I mean, look at me. I'm showing up in a duck suit.
It needs to de-escalate. To be honest with you, I mean, I'm not saying that both sides don't have grievances, but it's got to de-escalate, because the first thing you got to do is you got to get the de-escalation so you can start getting morale back, because that's half the problem.
It's like a tug of war, and you have two great anchors who are just not giving up ground. It's not going. It's not moving either way. And once again, that falls on leadership. The leadership should be boosting the morale, right? And telling these guys, hey, we got to go do this and this and this, and let's go out and meet the people. Let's go talk to the people.
Lead from the front. I mean, I've had great supervisors. I've had more than my fair share of bad supervisors. I took something from all of them. I took things I don't want to do when I became a sergeant. I took other things from other people that I did want to do, and I crafted my own version of it. Some people would like me, some people won't like me. I'm blunt, and if you don't like what I have to say, I'm willing to have difficult conversations that people aren't willing to have. Yeah, and that's what comes with being an auditor.
I just want to play. There's a couple I put up. I know, like I said, I got ADD. So people, Peter Murphy. Yeah, Peter Murphy. He's a Canton guy. Let's just leave it at that. Thank you, Hubert, for your $9.99. He's welcome. Just like me, I don't live in the town anymore. My mother still does. My brother still does. My sister-in-law is on the planning board. I'm in town every day. All right. I'm doing this because I love the town. I don't hate the town. If I hated the town, I wouldn't even have a show. Yeah. Right, Eric?
That's right.
Where's Eric? Oh, you're behind the.
Hank Huber.
I'm behind.
I know, but it's true. If we hated the town, we wouldn't even give it two seconds of our time.
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody told me, you got to find something. You got to find something that you enjoy. If it's something that you don't like, you go home. You start angry. You go home angry. You go to bed angry. You need to find something else. You need
another job. Yeah, absolutely. How about this one? Does your group encourage input or interest from the public? During an audit,
we actually had that plan for Canton. We were going to actually send out 2 people and go to some local restaurants and interview townies. And business owners to get their input for what was going to happen, what their opinions were for the police department. Because if I go watch the news, I think every one of you hate them. That's really what it comes down to.
That's literally what I'm saying, though.
So that was something that we were going to do. We were going to go interview business owners and residents, and we weren't going to put out when we were doing it. We were just going to show up with our business cards and be like, hey, we're the STIRM Group. We're the audit firm for Canton Police Department. I'd like to talk to you if you're from town and if you got a few minutes. Let me buy you a cup of coffee.
Exactly. It's that easy. Just talk to
It's that easy.
How do you get buyback from the other side if you don't engage the other side?
Well,
buy-in. I need them to buy into this report, and they're not going to buy in if they didn't have any participation.
I have a feeling that, and this is just me, people, that maybe the auditors had a dossier on certain people, and they're like, okay, we're going to stay away from these people because we got handed this person's a kook, this person's a troublemaker, this person, blah, blah, blah. That's just me. That's just me thinking here.
I don't remember the last time I was south of Boston, so I can't say the last time I was in Canton.
Well, you guys, so south of Boston, it's bar pizza. North of Boston, it's roast beef. So
yeah, exactly.
Total different. Yeah.
I gotta come down there and try some bar pizza. I've never had bar pizza down there.
Oh, bar pizza's the best. I can tell you right.
Never had bar pizza.
Never
had it.
So many good ones. We have so
I
many.
know.
Union Villa. You get a 3-way sandwich up here. It's awesome.
What's a 3-way sandwich?
Cheese, sauce, mayo, beef, onion roll.
It's a menage a trois.
Cheese. Wait. Cheese? Like Swiss, cheese. American? What kind? Provolone? I love
American cheese, roast beef, sauce, James River barbecue sauce usually, mayonnaise, onion roll grilled.
Lena's Subs up in Danvers. They used to have that little machine. Two little old ladies. It's a tiny little house, right? And
Yep.
you'd go in, and they'd have the little slicing machine, and they'd slice whatever your sandwich is. Oh, they were great. Look at me. Hit my-
That's over by the old fire department.
In Danvers. Yeah. Lena's.
Why,
Lena's
you a
Sub.
Danvers kid?
No, I used to deliver all the meat and cheeses to all the places all over Massachusetts and New Hampshire and Rhode Island.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I knew which places had good food and which ones didn't. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right by the yacht club. The yacht club was right down the street. Danvers
there you
Yacht
go.
Club down the street.
Yeah. Yep.
Here's another one for you. Look at this. We're just going. Can the findings and corrective actions from the MPAC recertification audits be FOIA'd? Somebody filled out a request 2 weeks ago and nothing.
Well, we can talk about MPAC, and MPAC
Yeah,
is Mass
we
Police
could, can't we?
Accreditation Commission, and they are a 501c3 corporation, registered, and they are the exclusive accreditation agency for the municipal police departments in the state of Massachusetts. I believe the Mass State Police ended up having to get accredited as well as a result of some of our transgressions recently. So I believe they're now accredited as well. So there's some issues there because you have a 501c3 that's a private company. They're not subject to public records request. I had the old manual, the old assessment manual. They just changed it recently. I'm not exactly sure what the date was. I called to try to get one. I was told no. I put a public request in, a public records request. I was denied. So I went to appeal to the Secretary of State's office. They said they are a private corporation. And then from there, you gotta go plug in someplace. Hold on. Give me a minute. No,
Battery's low.
Yeah.
Okay.
I must have pulled the cord out.
Uh-oh.
Hold on 1 second.
Eric, are you looking at the regular chat? Because I'm still in the starred chat.
I am.
Okay. Guys, I hope we're doing all right. I mean, I'm not the professional. Nan, I hope we're doing okay with you. We'll get to some of your questions. We started about 22 more of them. And Mike, thank you for watching. That's Mike Crawford. The Craw with his jerk curtain that he still doesn't have yet. You know, I swear to God, I'm going to buy him a jerk curtain for Christmas. How we doing?
He's on mute.
Oh, no, you're on mute. That's all right. It's like being on with Peter Murphy or Whitey. We'll wait. Of course, we're going to wait. He's the
There
whole
he
show.
is.
There we go. Sorry.
Okay. No, don't be sorry.
Earbud fell out while I was underneath.
No, we're used to doing this stuff.
Larry, I have a question related to if you're doing the audit, and I assume that you would look into the major crimes that happen in any city or town that's covered. One of the concerns that I had with the investigation on the Karen Reed case, John O'Keefe, was the 47 pieces of taillight that they found. I just have a hard time believing, no matter what the scenario is, that a taillight could smash into 47 pieces. I would think that if it got any kind, you could throw a rock at it, or, however it gets broken, I would think it would break in maybe 3, 4, 5 pieces, but not 47. Is that something that might pique your interest and you may look into?
Again, you're not there to reevaluate cases, provide opinions on their operations. You're there to assess their operation and provide that answer to them as to how they've done with their own policies, their internal controls, following the stuff, finding out how they're dealing with people, making sure they meet their requirements and budgets and all that stuff. That's not our role as an audit, unless you're hired to look into that stuff specifically.
Have you ever been hired to look into that specifically?
I got hired by another department to look into forged academy records.
Huh. Kind of like maybe having people on the force that may not have gone.
Never went to an academy, became a police officer, worked in detectives and arrested people.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly like that.
We're going to get into that. We're going to get that in a couple more minutes. Booze, you got another one?
I just had a quick follow-up to what Eric stated, because I remember reading something in your report about it that part of your reasoning for, I guess, not agreeing with Five Stones was because of...
Wait a minute. Let me see if I can put it up there.
Yeah, I think it was
Is that
on
the
one
one?
of the last
Sorry, Larry.
pages.
Oh, last page? I can pull up the last page. Hold on.
Thanks.
Let me see if I can. Last page. Oh, I don't have my glasses on. Where are my glasses? Let's see if this is the last page. Hold on. I'm taking a guess at it. Let's see. Is this the last page? Is that it? Maybe?
I don't think so.
No,
No? What page was that?
I can't see the page number.
Either 2 or 3.
Okay, hold on. I have all 5.
5 won't
Which
have
one?
a full page.
What is it?
5 won't be a full page.
Oh, it won't be a full page. So then it's this one. Thank you. Here we go. I know which one 5 is now. There we go. Let's put it up there. There's 5.
Okay.
It's going to go to full
Okay.
screen.
Oh,
That was no. That's the sorry. That's my fat finger.
Yep.
Go ahead.
so where you were clearly mentioning over and over again, you're supposed to be unbiased. You're not supposed to have any kind of, no ruling of anything. And my main thing that really stood out to me was this quote right here, where it states, "Here is something the back channel can confirm. Auditors from Five Stone Intelligence reportedly told various individuals that, based on their audit, they believed Karen Reed was guilty." So just knowing that, if someone has a bias, even from the start, the middle, or even at the end, what kind of repercussions can come from that?
I mean, there's a reason why we have a specific order that we do field sobriety tests, because if you started with the portable breath test and somebody gave you a test sample on a PBT and you see that they blew a 0.12, well, that may very well bias what you actually see when it comes to doing the standardized field sobriety test. So the walk and turn, the one leg stand, the horizontal gaze nystagmus, those things. So now you potentially biased yourself because you know what the PBT is telling you. So that's why the PBT is always the last test given in a roadside field sobriety test. So same thing here. We really shouldn't be concerning ourselves with individual cases, or unless there's something that we identify. But we don't, it's not our place to render opinions of guilt or innocence.
That's
hiring us to
multiple.
do an investigation. That's a different thing. And we do investigations. It's just for administrative purposes. We do investigations that could lead to criminal charges. So it really depends on what. Again, it all comes back to the scope, which is what we told them at the very beginning. The scope was too vague, too wide open. It's a no-win situation. And we tried to help them. And even matter of fact, I remember somebody in one of these chat groups from when we were on the Jerks actually was, or maybe it was the town meeting. She came in and she was an auditor, and she a law enforcement consultant, and she wanted to help the town potentially redo the scope or redo the RFP and reissue it. The best thing we would have suggested is start it after this trial is over. Because it would have given you plenty of time to redo it, reassess it, and then you could actually focus properly on it, because you can say whatever you want, but they had they had so much going on with this new trial coming up. So how much effort could you really have?
And
So,
also,
go ahead.
Another concern is that, I mean, it seems like from your report that they were openly stating this opinion to people that they were interviewing in the middle of their auditing.
Like I said, this is if it's substantiated. I don't know if this happened.
Right.
I found out that this happened, or I found out through the grapevine of several people, and then it was shown to me in a post that was online.
Is this the first time you've ever written a paper like this for a town? You have no stake in the game.
No.
you have no stake in this game, one way or the other. You're like right down the road, calling it. You're like the umpire in the over 30 softball league, right? Calling it like you're seeing it.
Everybody hates me.
But you felt compelled enough to write a 5-page report on this.
I was trying to help. I was trying to prevent him from making
you're helping me.
RFP. You know, so we tried to prevent it before, and you know, somebody called it almost like Nostradamus or something like that. I forget what it was in some post that was on my X account about what I wrote back in September, because everything that was in that RFP, in that withdrawal, basically came true.
Nostradamus.
And I'm good. His life didn't end so well.
There's so many questions. People, some of these questions I could have answered myself. Larry's not going to be able to answer some of these questions. Why didn't the Canton deputy chief come out of his house? We don't know if he really did or not. I mean, we were told he didn't. But I seem to believe that if I had a fellow coworker, doesn't matter what company you're in, and you live across the street, and somebody comes to you and there's ambulances and fire engines and everything, that you're just going to open the door, hand some Solo cups to them, and close your door and pull your blinds. I find that hard to believe, that you're not going to run and go try to help and make sure everything's all set and ask, what can I do? Do you want me to, I'll seal off this side, you know, whatever it is.
The one thing that always troubled me about this when this first happened, you know, you didn't know what happened to him, and you have a cop on the ground. It's kind of a different thing for us when it's one of us that's laying in that snowbank or one of us laying over the guardrail. You know, it's not necessarily fair. But it's human nature. These are the people I work with, they live with, I eat, breathe, and sleep with 40 hours a week. I mean, not sleep, but you know, I spend a good portion of my time. I mean, I went to the academy with the guy together. We broke in together. We went out west together. We came back east together. Worked the same line, scoring midnights. You know, I spent more time with him than his wife did for a few of those years, just by showing up for work. So yeah, it's going to be a different response when it's one of yours that's laying on that ground.
Almost like an all hands on deck thing.
And it didn't seem to happen there.
Right.
Which is kind of what, you know, I've heard that from other people too.
Yeah. Booz, you got another one?
I
have. If not, I got one.
Yeah, you go.
I got one. Someone was asking if here it is. It was with something to do with Braintree. Hold on a minute.
Oh, you're talking about the Braintree audit?
Yeah. Oh wait, let's do this one first. This one first, because I have an idea on this one too. When the auditors were asked if they thought the audit was a good idea, one auditor alluded that he didn't think so and mentioned that he's law enforcement. How could he say that with all those findings? Well, before you ask that question, my question would be, if you're in the business of auditing police departments and someone says, hey, if this was you, would you audit a police department? Why would you say no? You're in that business. Wouldn't you say, yeah, auditing's a good thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It legitimately is a good thing. It's a way to understand how you're operating. Find out what you're doing well. Find out what you're doing wrong. Find out what could be improved. Audit isn't intentionally a bad thing. It's only a bad thing if we find that you are doing things intentionally. We're there to help you. We're not there to harm you. I mean, I much rather write a report that helps you.
Boozy, someone's asking you to read this.
Oh my God, I was just responding to Peter in chat.
Yeah, I've read both of those. I've talked about this in the past. It came from the DA's office because there were some issues with evidence not being found, not being processed, not coming back. And it was started making its way back to the police department, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. And they started doing a little bit of research. They brought in a former major from my job to look into it, Major Gordon, to look into it. And he came in that day, and the evidence officer went home for lunch and committed suicide.
No.
So at that point, it takes on a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
So, yep, there were issues there. And they did the right thing. They created a whole new evidence room. They got the audit done. They put a RFID evidence management system in there. They did it right. And, and that's how you have to do it. Open, transparent. And, they gave tours of the new evidence room so that you could see what your money was buying. They kept, look, you get caught. It happens. Stuff happens. It's when you try to cover it up. It's the cover up is always worse than the crime.
Yep.
Do
Do you think when people don't get audited for long periods of time, per se, they either get lax or it opens it up to people cutting corners / not doing the right things?
Oh, absolutely. There's accountability, and it starts at the top. If the boss, for example, say you work in a bakery and you have to wear a hairnet, okay, and everybody has to wear a hairnet in the bakery, and then the boss comes walking in and he's bald, or he's going bald, but he owns the company. He doesn't care. So he walks in, he doesn't have a hairnet on, he leaves. Okay, and then another guy, his number 2, all of a sudden, boss isn't around. He's not wearing his hairnet because he's the big guy. How long does that take? It's kind of a broken windows philosophy. Once you break something and you don't take care of it, it slowly erodes over time. And now all of a sudden, you got 5 or 6 people with no hairnets on, and the health department walks in for a surprise inspection.
Yep. Now you get a C. There goes that A.
Yeah, and now and that's the problem.
See, what Eric does? What Eric does is he takes 10 minutes. He spends 10 minutes a day in the bathroom, right? At the end of the week, right? That's 50 minutes, right? At the end of the year, right? So 50 minutes. That's 1 hour every week. At the end of the year, that's 50 hours. That's like he's spending a week's vacation in the bathroom at work. He's not really. I just made that up. His company's going to be like knocking on the door every time Eric goes to the bathroom now. But it's true. That's literally a whole week's vacation in the bathroom if you just go in there and sit in there and hide for 10 minutes.
Yeah, it could be. And, it's auditing is supposed to be a good thing because if you're doing it consistently, you're doing it right. It helps you prevent from becoming the victim, because let's face it, the longer something goes, the worse it's going to become. And that's why, auditing isn't sexy. It's not a new cruiser. It's, I've heard this from chiefs. It's not something that is enjoyable. We've not always put our best efforts into who we've staffed evidence rooms with. People that may not be great out on the street anymore, may have family issues, may just want the Monday through Friday schedule, retired on active duty status. I mean, they put the people that weren't high performers, that not necessarily. There's a certain type of individual you want to be able to put into an evidence room. You want to be able to put somebody that is self-motivated.
And you want to put the young kids out on the street anyways.
You do, but the evidence, let's face it, evidence is your biggest liability for a city.
Yeah, that's why you put your older, smarter, wiser guy in the evidence room.
How do you get him in there? Do you force him in?
No, I mean, he can't walk anymore. He's old.
That's not how that works.
It's like the 2 bulls. The young bull says, let's run down that hill and all the cows. The old bull says, let's walk down and all of them. It's the smarts. You're there for a long time. You see how things are done, right? You know what the policies, the procedures are. You really don't want to be out on the street or in the cold elements anymore, because quite face it, once you get over 50, there's a lot of us that, your bones ache and you don't, you live in New England. You bring him inside. and you incentivize it. You're like, hey, dude, this is a good thing for you. Now you can just ride that end of your career. You're safe. Put the younger new kid in.
But the thing is, evidence rooms have kind of been that broken window. They've never gotten the love and the attention that they deserve. So
Money. It's really money.
It's money. It's auditing.
Money.
It's money. It's this being able to have to get an evidence room from what we've seen to what you need to be to get accredited in some of these departments, is considerable. And
Yeah.
There's some police departments. I mean, there's one police department I'm not going to name in particular. Exceptional. The policies are outstanding. They had 100% accountability for every piece of evidence that we pulled that day. Their evaluation was great. I didn't have anything to give them a negative on. That doesn't happen. But they know who they are if they end up here.
Do they get grades? Do you guys kind of give them like grades?
No.
No grades.
Green light, red light, yellow light.
That's it.
Green's good. Yellow's.
And in Massachusetts, what are you looking at? What do you got mostly? Yellows, greens?
A lot of red, a lot of yellow.
Oh, really?
Oh, geez.
Okay. There goes my faith. It's every town. It's not just Canton, people. It's not just Canton.
There's
right?
That one department, outstanding. There's other ones that are out there that I'm sure I haven't been in that are outstanding as well. But there are some trouble spots that need to be addressed. And, it's not my place to sit here and go over that. They're addressing them. They're dealing with them.
Yeah. And I'm going to deal with this question. I was trying to hold off for the longest time. So I wasn't the person that FOIA'd when it came back. Remember, people, I was up at the high school, and I'm sure a lot of other people FOIA'd it for me. And I know someone else did FOIA it. But what I will tell you is I got a text directly, and I did not, and you know what? And I'm going to reach out to this person right now. The chief of police sent me a text. I did not answer it. And the reason why I didn't answer it is for the exact same reason I've never answered Chris Albert's texts when he's called me or texted me. They're on the witness list in this trial. And the last thing I want to do is get myself in any kind of text back and forth with someone or a phone call back and forth with someone that I don't see eye to eye with on issues and then catch a charge. So that's the main reason I didn't answer the text. But the text came in, and all it said is, you didn't have to wait for the FOIA to come back. It got paid back. So Vanity Fair sent a request on March 11th. They paid it back March 12th, and it cleared on March 14th. And then the audit was turned in April 1st. So yes, it was just a couple weeks ago. And we'll leave it at that. Can we move on from that now? Because, I've been hopping on this. I know people on the other side are so mad at me, and I keep on trying to say, this isn't about Tim Taylor. It's not about him. Did he do a wrong thing? Yes. Is he paying for it? Yes. Do I feel for him? Abso-friggin-lutely. I feel horrible for the guy. It's the other people. It's the people that just threw it through a company that's on an account to clean for him. And it's the people that said, hey, we're going to send him home. Just keep him on the schedule. We'll pay for it. And then when they got found out, they said he got paid leave. Wasn't paid leave. He used his sick pay. Yeah, he used sick pay. But then the next week he was out of sick pay. He still wasn't in, but you still paid him. So, and you can't be on call and sent home on leave, on administrative leave. It's a bullshit answer. You know it's a bullshit answer, okay? And not one selectman has stood up and said, hey, you know what? It's a bullshit answer. Sorry. Sorry, Larry. This one really, those two shows, and everybody knows that was me. And that's how it takes so much to get me angry. I am the happy-go-lucky 99% of the time. But once you get me worked up about something, forget it. My temper just goes, that's the Italian in me, just goes right through the roof. So yes, you got caught, and now nobody's doing anything, and you're happy with it. And then, I can't even leave it that. On Tuesday night, thank God they took this off a Tuesday night schedule. They had 6 officers ready to go that have recently retired that want to do details. Good, I'm all for it. But one of those officers was Paul D.G. and Petro, the guy that did the embezzlement, the guy that put it in. Why should he be rewarded with details because he retired when he should be investigated? Sorry, Larry. I apologize on that one. Sorry. Larry, sorry. You know what? I made it through all these chats, and then that one came up. Thanks, m'lady, whoever you are, 1, 2, 3, 4, for working me up.
Yes, show. You got it.
No, I don't know. Like, seriously, without speaking to that exact thing, if there is a supervisor that used a contracted company, whether it was on purpose or by accident, to do something for his buddy, his coworker, that's like going down to the DPW, grabbing the loader and bringing it home and using the loader to do stuff in your backyard. You can't do that.
Misappropriation of assets.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was what my question was all about. What is the price before they say, you know what, that's not wrong? Well, $10 a day? Okay, what's $10 a day? I just made the joke about 10 minutes in a bathroom. Okay, right. Turn it to money. When's their price in this town, in Canton? What's your price line? What's the safety line? You knew you had an officer who got drunk down the Cape. You knew from the report that at the first restaurant, he had his gun and badge on him. And then in the report, it wasn't until they went to the second restaurant that he left them in the car. And then it wasn't until the next morning when he said, oh my God, I'm hungover. Yeah, I'm going to have a couple to make myself feel better. Hey, did I leave my stuff in your car? Yeah, you want me to put it in your locker at the gym? No, I'll put it in my mailbox. Who does that? I got you twice, right?
I see. You're asking me to speculate. I mean, I know what the texts say, and or have heard what the texts have said, but I've not seen the text, so I'd rather just reserve that.
It's in the files. We posted the whole file from that investigation. Just that investigation. This isn't the Karen Reed one. This is the investigation into why they gave him the summer off.
Oh, okay, that one.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
yeah.
Firearm security is kind of a key point.
Yeah.
You had a gentleman at the January 6th hearing that ended up shooting and killing the Air Force veteran. He left his gun in a public bathroom in the Capitol and kept his job.
Here's an easy one for you. Do you like that one?
I don't know what that.
Who's D4? Where's D4?
Oh,
Ryan asked D4. Where's D4? They have a good captain.
I'm not in D troop. I never.
Oh.
Born. Oh my God, Marlboro.
Ryan. I thought I was doing a favor. I thought maybe Ryan was a buddy of yours.
No.
South End. D's near the Back Bay. South End.
D4.
Yeah.
Yeah. They changed them. They changed.
Maybe
them. D troop was. After I left, they changed. That was the E issue.
Oh, you were in the South End too?
Yeah, and the. Yep.
Really? I used to a long time ago. I used to work down at on Tremont Street. I used to work at the Roxy and the Jukebox, way back in the day. And then you'd go up and get your pizza at Dominic's.
Yeah, I took a transfer out of A troop to the Pike because I was coming up on the sergeant's list. And I knew if I stayed in A troop, there's no way of going back, staying in A troop. So I snuck out to the Pike, figuring there might be a chance I could go back to A troop. Didn't work. I ended up in C4.
Oh, this mock. I don't know how do you say this? Chiricello? Chiricello? Is that how you say it?
Um,
I don't know how you say this kid's name.
I don't know how it,
Yes, Mark, I know how to say your name. I work with him. I'm just giving him a shit. How's it going, Mark? Okay, now we're going to get into. We got one more question on Canton, and then we're going to get into for the later part your stuff. Let me just double check the last star chats before I get into my question of right here. We did that. Yep. How does the average citizen know what to ask for in the RFP? Well, actually, that's not a bad one too.
well, there's the government accounting standards, which explain a lot but that doesn't necessarily apply to law enforcement. It's going to be about the policies and procedures. You know, we have a set guideline because you got mass police accreditation that dictate what you need. So most departments are trying to aim for that. Other departments don't, other departments aren't there yet, don't want to go there because they have to pay. It's money that they have to pay to another agency that comes out of their funds, and it's gone. And then you have to get the accreditation, you have to maintain it. Typically, there's a pay raise for the officers involved at a department that's accredited for working for an accredited agency because, you're supposed to indicate that you've met a level of professionalism that exceeds minimum requirements, and you've done it in all these different areas and whatnot. So the citizens should believe that they are being represented by a organized and professional law enforcement agency. And move forward from there.
Wow.
So,
yeah. Chris Daly, he was talking about D14 over in Brighton. Used to be East Berkeley and Warren Ave, now on Harrison Ave, and D14's Brighton. Chris Daly. There were a lot of Dalys on the Boston Police Department over in Brighton. Danny Daly, his wife, who was like 30 years younger than him. I think her name was Maureen Daly. There's a lot of Irish Boston cops out of Brighton. Let's just say that. Okay, so right now, the police chief's contract.
yeah.
They have to give her 30 days notice whether they're going to move on or they're going to renew 1 year, 3 year, the whole process, right?
Yep.
So for the most part, there's been no talk of looking into a new chief. So other than just throwing your hands up and say, well, we thought, the contract came, the audit came back glowing, so let's give her another year. Because everybody's on both sides of this argument. Have there been other towns in Mass that you are aware of that have gotten this close and have moved on? And if so, what are the options?
Yeah, they have options. Basically, what happens is you have two basic options, three actually. So you can appoint an interim from within.
Okay.
Meaning
promote one of the two deputy police chiefs.
Yep, and put it as an interim
Deputy.
position. Now,
Yeah.
they obviously are probably going to apply for that position, and they may get it, they may not get it, depending upon what the select board decides they're going to do on the other end. So are they going to hire from within, or do they want to go out? My town said they'll never hire another internal candidate again. After
Now, if you're going to stay within, would it be just between those two? So in Canton right now, there's two deputy chiefs. There's Tommy Kelleher and Patty Sherrill, and then there's lieutenants under them. Is it open to anyone, or would they just kind of say, if they went that route? I'm saying if they went that route, which is under door number one. All right, let's make a deal.
They have the ability. Is this chief a civil service spot in Canton? That makes a big difference.
Oh,
I don't
think they are. No, I don't think they are.
Then they can
Nola, we're just looking at all the options. I know you shouldn't stay within. That's crazy. We're looking at all the options. We're going to go through. Larry's going to give us all the options. So
it's not, if the chief's not in civil service, that's fine.
Yeah.
Basically, then yes, they could hire from either one of them. They could put it out to the public, or they could just decide we're going to hire him.
One of the two deputies, deputy chiefs.
Yep.
Okay, but it wouldn't go right down to a lieutenant over the deputies.
Who says it couldn't?
That's what I'm asking. They could.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have their pick. They could pick a lieutenant or one of the two deputy chiefs. Because who knows what if one of the deputy chiefs doesn't want it? What if they don't want it? Right? Because they know it's a short-term fix, and they're like, I don't want to be the short term.
Well, that's it. I mean, why would you want it to, But then again, it's an audition.
Yeah.
And that gives you a leg up over the other deputies. So whoever the selection is from the two, if they were to do it that right, gets a leg up and probably will end up getting the job because they're going to have to go through the hiring process and everything else. So you can either hire them right away because you're a non-civil service department, or you can make that selection, put them both through a assessment board and a panel. That doesn't typically happen when when the candidate's going to be an internal. You could turn around and just put one of them as an interim chief, and contact Municipal Resources Inc., I believe, up in Plymouth, Concord area, New Hampshire.
So under door number 2. So that would be door number 2. So door number 1 is promote with, take one of the deputies or lieutenants. Door number 2 would be, let's go up to Boozy. What's that place up in Plymouth, New Hampshire called?
What?
What's that place in Plymouth, New Hampshire called?
It's the Municipal Resource Inc.
See? Yeah. Thanks,
A
Booze.
long time ago.
It was an hour. It was an hour and a half ago. The municipal, what is it, Eric?
It's the Municipal Resources Inc.
Okay. So you would go up to you would make a call up to Municipal Resources Inc., MRI,
Yep.
and say, hey, we're looking for someone, we're looking for an interim chief.
Yes.
Okay.
And they'd find you somebody that was interested and qualified and capable of taking over a 3, 6, 9 month gig to run the department until you could find a replacement.
Okay. And then
they're all retired chiefs. So it's not like you're going to be able to get them to come back and become a chief full time. Because they have limitations on pensions unless they come from outside another state. So you could conceivably get an interim chief from New Hampshire that retired from up there. They come down, they take the Canton job for a little bit. They like it. They put in, the board liked him. They could hire him.
Right. They could work on they're like, you know what? We like you. We're going to offer you a contract.
Yep.
Would you please? You're right. And they go that route.
Or the guy would be like, yeah, no, I'm just doing this for golf money for next year.
What's usually the turnaround time? Say they weren't pressed for time. How long does it usually take to find a chief if you're not promoting from within?
Depends on how long, is it a sudden departure or is it something that you were planning on? Because
well, obviously they weren't planning on it. They had a whole year. They didn't plan on it just in case.
Okay. Then they're going to be up against it, and it'd probably be, if you're not going with an internal candidate and you're going outside and bringing in an interim chief, then you're probably looking at 6 months minimum.
So realistically, the most prudent thing to do would be to make that call up to New Hampshire and say, listen, we're looking for an interim chief while we look for a full-time chief. And that interim chief may become the full-time chief, but potentially, but we need 6 months of a new chief.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, and here's door number 4, which I know a lot of people in the chat aren't going to like. You still have time. You could probably tell Helena, you know what, we're going to give you 6 months, but we're getting a new chief. And she could take it or leave it. She might not want it.
Yeah, she could.
You could just say, we're going to give you 6 months, but we get a new chief.
You could.
And she could retire by that time. Or she could retire, and who knows?
Well,
these are just the 4 options. So now you got 4 options.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
So what we're saying, people, is there are options. Don't think that I was going to say, don't think that the selectmen are just going to say, oh, well, we kind of waited. We thought the audit was going to come back good. It came back good. You know, my arm's not broken, and let's we're just going to go with Elena for another year. Like what? The year-to-year thing, it didn't work with Brady. He finally got pissed and stopped. So, you know, I think it's. I think a lot of people are looking at you. You want to bring someone in. You want to bring a chief in that has a good 10 years in front of them, because you have so many young guys on that force that a good 10 years under a good chief would turn around that department.
Yeah, you could. I mean, the morale is whatever the morale is. You know, it's got to stop. I mean, they're getting it from both sides. The rank and file. You know, the majority of cops, the majority of doctors, majority of truck drivers, they're good people. You know, there's a philosophy. There's a 10-80-10. 10% of your all-stars, 80% of the people that just kind of do the right thing, show up, do what they're required of them, and then you got the 10% that can be your malcontents and issues and problem children. And that follows every industry standard. It's not just here. So it's, you know, you've got 90% of that police department, statistically speaking, would be good officers that they're getting crushed morale-wise. It's every day. It's just nonstop watching what goes on. I don't even watch. I just turn the channel.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing, people. The majority of those officers in that department had nothing to do with some of the major cases that we've been talking about. Some of them, they come in, they do their job, they're trying their best, but it's almost as if they feel like they're getting lumped in. It's either us versus them. You know, It's like, you know, hey, you know, it's like the cornerback. Hey, I'm out here covering my man. I cover my man all the time. It's not my fault that the running back is running through the rest of the department. You know, Canton has been labeled a clown town due to serious mismal and malfeasance by Rafferty and the upper command staff. Yeah, well, it has, Peter. And I think that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the majority of the department isn't bad. And some of the ones that were bad aren't even on the department anymore. But the new ones are taking the rap for the old ones.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like going to a restaurant, okay? I get a great meal, I tell 2 people. I get a shitty meal, I tell 10 people. You know what I mean? And that's what they say. And so bad news travels. So if you have one bad interaction with one citizen, you could just change their perspective of what their perception is of law enforcement for the rest of their life. And I'm not saying that, look, there's, you know, law enforcement's not pretty. It's hands-on at times. You have to be the aggressor at points for your own safety.
You had boozy at restaurant. And here's the thing. This is true too. Berkey and Helena created a lot of this. Yes, because Helena didn't inherit this. Helena was part of this for years. She didn't just come into this. She grew up in this. Her father was in the department. I mean, this has been her life, the police department, right? For good or bad.
Yep.
And right now, it's bad. And she's supposed to be the one turning it around. And she's not turning it around. But you can't blame us for booing when you're playing crappy.
No. I have season tickets for the Bruins. You think I was happy this year?
Oh, my God. You had season tickets to the Bruins?
Yeah.
Keep my number. My father played for just a couple games, but he played for a farm team for the Bruins back in the late 60s, early 70s, called the Cape Cod Cubs, before they became the Maine Mariners and then the Providence Bruins.
Providence Bruins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. He played against a guy that was in Slapshot. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, and, you know, it's nothing, I don't know about her leadership or anything else, but it's apparent that she's lost the locker room.
Yeah. And please.
And I don't mean that from a bad point. It's just what I've seen. She's lost the locker room. And what happens to a coach when you lose the locker room? Can't replace the team.
Yep. I don't even know this number I know the number, but I don't know who this is. So I'm just going to ask you. Somebody likes the show. It's the best show they've seen in a long time. So thank you for all our other sucky shows that led up to this, because it's obviously Larry. Larry's the reason why you're sending me a text. But ask him if it's becoming of an officer to talk with a town official and say that this would be all over if he could just punch him in the mouth. Oh, geez. No. Never mind. Sorry.
Come on.
No. Larry, so I'll get into this really quick. It's not bad. And then we're going to get into some Larry stuff. When we went to the audit, I wasn't maybe 3 seats down the aisle when someone came over and grabbed me by the arm, and they said something about, they heard an officer just say something under his breath. And so I handled it my way. And the chief happened to watch our show and reached out to me and wanted me to go in and file a report against him. And I'm like, no. First off, I don't think he thought anyone was going to hear it other than his coworker. There was more than a dozen back there, and and this is me guessing. I don't think that they all wanted to be there, but they were there. It was a great show of force. It was the safest place in town for the day. And I think there was frustration there because they didn't know what was coming. They obviously didn't know someone overheard them, who grabbed me immediately. And I went and I stood next to him, and I had all I could do to lean down and because he was someone, they're like, hey, where's that Camo guy? So I was going to lean over and go, hey, did you find Camo yet? And just see, have him look up at me and go, oh my God, it's you douche. But no, but if I went in and did that, it's just going to add to the frustration levels of these guys. Let them vent a little bit, and then, you know what? Tell them, hey, let's do better, right? Let's get out there. Let's work with these people.
I mean, the thing is, I've seen it. I've seen where investigations have gone off the rail because you had opportunities available to you and you chose not to take them. And because of that, once you've lied to me in an investigation, I'm not going to let it go. There's only 2 reasons to tell a lie: because you're embarrassed by it or because you're guilty of something. Other than that, the truth is the simplest solution. So
Right.
If you're lying to me, what are you embarrassed about, or what did you do illegally? So now you're looking at changes in patterns, changes in behavior. You're looking at words. You're looking at word choice selection. These are all things that are key during an interview. And, people forget this when they're talking. And, silence is a good thing. I don't use it very often, but it's a good thing. It puts people off their game. And what you say and how you say it, or more importantly, the lack of what you don't say. So if I come to you and I tell you you have a forgery issue at your academy, I expect you to tell me you want to help me and that you want to get to the bottom of this because you're the accreditation agency for all the police accreditations. I didn't get that. They didn't launch an internal investigation like they had for the other issues that they've had. So, it's stuff like that. They had opportunities at multiple points in that investigation. Had they taken a different pathway, the MPTC's reputation, the former director of the Municipal Police Training Commission reputation, wouldn't be anywhere near what it is right now.
I'm going to ask this question, and it's going to lead into the big question afterwards. What got you into corruption and auditing? What was this is what I'm going to do.
Well, the Homeland Security. When I went to Homeland Security, I landed at the Document Benefit Fraud Task Force. So we were dealing with fake identifications, a lot of visas, passports, illegals, dirty registry employees, buying Puerto Rican papers on the streets from Dominicans would buy Puerto Rican papers.
Truck drivers getting their CDLs from. No, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That too.
Sorry.
Like I said, 10-80-10. 10-80-10.
Sorry. Low hanging fruit, people. Low hanging fruit on that one.
Hey, it got served up. You got to hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
But no, it's, so that's where I got into it. I started to understand what you could do with paper and what you could do with documents and I've had a client, they lost $138,000 in a mortgage scam because somebody hacked somebody got the HUD statement and mirrored the attorney's address and just changed one letter in it, and sent them a thing telling them you have to send wire the cash, or well, we're going to bring a bank check on closing. Well, then we'll have to wait 3 days before you can move in. So she went and everything looked good. The numbers matched up, and they sent the $138,000. I got called a week later. I said, it's probably gone. I said, I'll make a couple phone calls. I called out. Where'd the money go? Went to Michigan. Nigerian purchase, some Somalian king got it and guaranteed. Called out there, and they're like, second it hit, went back offshore. We can do.
I got one of those. I got one of those faxes this morning.
We can do something about this, though. We don't. You can put a delay for an overseas transfer. I mean, because of the fraud is astronomical. Banks getting crushed with fake IDs right now. I mean, I can go buy 2 fake.
Well, and they're targeting the older people.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's, my first podcast that I'm going to, when I start my podcast, the first podcast is going to be a second half. We're going to go over stuff for people of our age to help them with their parents, because they're targeting them because they don't have the mental.
Because they've obviously seen that it works.
Oh, absolutely.
So if they know it works, they're going to keep doing it over and over and over.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You got a proven commodity,
especially with AI, AI now.
Oh, it makes it so much harder. And and I keep telling people, look, trust me. The Colombian drug lords didn't kidnap your wife. You're in Boston. They didn't kidnap your wife. I want you to, or kidnap your daughter, and they want a ransom. It's, this is the type of stuff they prey on the vulnerabilities, and it's it's just horrible to see because they're the people that can least afford it typically.
Yeah. So, unlike AI, you know what else is on paper?
What would that
Your book.
Yes.
People, Larry has a book coming out. All right? And let me I think I have I thought I had the picture of it. I thought, what did I do with it? Damn it. Hold on. I had it. I had the overlay. I don't know what happened to it because I'm not a professional like some of these other guys. Yeah. No, can't. No, of course I can't find it now. Downloads. Oh, there it is. Got it. Here we go. Here it comes. So Larry has a new book that's coming out, right?
Yep.
It's let me get rid of that. How do you get rid of the that comment? Eric, get rid of that comment at the bottom of the.
Gotcha.
Thank you. All right, Larry.
Yes.
6 degrees of corruption, the fleecing of a city.
Yep.
All right, hit us with it.
It's about the investigation. It's actually going to be a 2-book series because it goes over a 20-year reign of corruption.
Terror,
corruption.
It could be terror, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's start with. Can we say where?
Oh, Methuan. You see
Okay.
that on the badge. It's on the cover.
Yeah.
That's the chief's badge, and basically. We go over in the first book, we build up and we show where all the things went wrong, the things that were being covered up.
Such as?
We go back to his coming up from captain to the chief and going all the way through to the point that he mismanaged grants. He was suspended. He got his job back because of civil service. There's some questionable issues with the civil service that we're concerned about. After we reviewed it,
You mean like officers that?
No, further up.
Further up. Okay.
You have to wait and see on that one.
All right.
So he ended up getting his.
I don't want to give anything away. That's why I'm just kind of I'm fishing. You know what happens when you go fishing?
Yeah. Well, I can't give it all away.
I know. All right. So pretty much, it's about all the corruption in Methuan.
Revolving around one police chief.
One police chief who basically, in other words, this guy had way too much power.
Absolutely. And one of the reasons he had that unfettered power was because they tried to fire him once and he won. And then that made him virtually untouchable because of how much they spent in penalties and fees and legal fees and court costs and all that other stuff. So, you know, he already beat you once, to the tune, it cost him well over $1 million. That's a lot of money in a city that's 50,000 big. I mean, 53,000 population.
Yeah.
So now you move forward, and you know, so he got his job back. You know, there were issues with evidence going all the way back to 2008. You know, and they hadn't had an audit even after that. There's a whole bunch of issues with the evidence back then when he was the chief, which is why the new chief wanted the audit, which I knew about because I met him when he was the Lawrence captain before he came over to Methuen. So he had already known what we do, and he liked what we did, and he wanted us to go and you know, help him out with. But in the meantime, I got hired to do the investigation for Methuen into the fake cop, and the new chief came over.
There was a fake cop.
Yes, there was. Fake cop was a city councilor, city council chair.
The city council chairperson was also a police officer.
Never went to a police academy. He was a firefighter in Andover first. For 19 years.
Okay. All right. So this firefighter in Andover becomes a city councilor and then decides he also wants to be a cop.
Yep.
Without going through an academy.
Yep.
And he's driving around in a car?
He was. He drove around so he got hired in July 1, 2016.
So recent. People, this is recent that this happened. This isn't like 1970s mobster, you know, stuff. You know, this isn't, you know, Bunker Hill. No. This is Methuen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's a local town. Yeah. So you took a civil service, the chair, and you initially you talked about how you brought somebody in. Well, it wasn't, I just hired him initially. He brought him in as a special officer for a period of time. So he was not really a full-time officer. He was going to come in and he's going to train. And it was during the pandemic, so they came up with a reason.
Of course.
And you know,
of course, the pandemic helps with everything.
Oh no, this was before the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So this was in 2016. He's still sitting on the city council as the chair. There's a bunch of stuff that's about to take place. Having the chair in your corner is going to be helpful. But in the process, he's on the council. You can't collect 2 checks, right? So how do you do this? So he's not going to get paid. He's just going to work details that don't work, you know, that don't get paid by the town. Well, the thing is, they all get paid by the town. So,
of course.
So long story short, they end up hiring him, and they hire him as a special. Then all of a sudden they put in a home rule petition. The home rule petition goes through. He becomes a police officer. They make him a full-time.
With no credentials, no training, no academy, nothing.
No. I went through a 6-month residential academy. Our firearms class was 2 weeks before they let us take our guns.
And they let.
He did qualify on the renewal, but he has a whole history with ethical lapses in regards to integrity.
This Bonnie Fife guy.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Actually, that's horrible because I'm sure Bonnie Fife had more qualifications than this guy. So, you know,
I don't like doing the personal assassinations, but
I know.
You know, it blows my mind that in this day and age that you would take that responsibility and liability. I mean, because right there, you just took your evidence and made your evidence number 2 liability by putting an untrained, unqualified, overage, unpsychological, no physical agility, no PT test, nothing, gave him a gun and a badge.
Here you go. Go grab a car. Go up into the quadrant 4. See you in 8 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Hey, Booze.
Yes.
There's a prologue to his book here.
Yeah.
I can enlarge the picture if you would like, but I thought it's not that long, and I thought maybe we could kind of go through it a little bit.
Okay. You can read it.
No, that's what I'm asking you for.
I know where you were going.
I've been talking for the last 2 hours.
Really?
Come on, please.
How
Don't
about
make
we-
me beg. Don't make me beg, because you know I will.
How about how about the three of us do like every paragraph?
Yeah, like we used to do in school. Yeah.
Yes.
It's 4 pages.
Okay.
It's 4
Yeah, go ahead.
Everybody-
Yeah, we each take a page. We each take a page. Go ahead. You go first.
High five. Can you, Eric?
I go last.
High five me. Hello.
Okay. There you go. I'm high-fiving you.
Chat, they didn't get
I didn't have the screen on. I had this screen on, so I knew when to scroll it down.
Oh, so you're ignoring us now.
No, go ahead.
I'll take
Okay.
page 4.
All right.
What? How was it? Like 2 sentences, Larry?
I don't know. I forget.
Go ahead.
Okay. This is really hard without my my bobblehead because I usually
you
do
don't
my,
have
my cute head.
Oh, yeah.
You know, on TikTok, my head.
I can
Okay.
go bigger if you need.
No, I'm not blind.
All right.
I just,
I am. You should see my TV.
all right. It's really that big.
It
All
is.
right. All right. Sorry,
It is.
Larry. I promise
It
we're getting
is.
together.
Don't
I
worry
promise.
about it.
All right.
Okay. Throughout the long and often sordid history of law enforcement scandals, few had been as staggering or as brazen as what unfolded in the quiet city of Methuen, Massachusetts. When the first whispers of corruption began circulating beyond city limits, the reaction was immediate and universal. That can't be real, and there's no way that actually happened. Yet, every word was accurate. At the heart of it all stood a corrupt police chief and a compromised city. Oh God, you're moving the frickin' screen. Hold
Sorry.
on. Compromised city council chairman, collectively facing 23 counts of fraud with a criminal trial looming in 2025.
23 counts of fraud. Go ahead.
Wait, hold on. Pause.
Start it, but. Yeah.
ADHD. 2025. When is that trial supposed to start?
They don't have a date. They've been indicted since October of 23.
Of course. Let's just drag it out.
Oh my God, isn't that not typical? All right. But to the citizens of Methuen, it had been just another day in their city. Corruption doesn't break down your doors. It's welcomed in like an old friend. Oh, I like that line, Larry. In the morning, it dresses like oh my God, this is great. In the morning, it dresses like anyone else, slipping into its pants one leg at a time. By day, it wears the mask of respectability and trust, quietly stitching itself into the fabric of Methuen's city government. At night, it lays its head on the pillow, undisturbed, without a flicker of remorse. Oh, I like where this is going. Well, I don't.
Oh,
know.
no, it's good. Oh, trust me. It's people are going to like this book.
Oh my God. Methuen wasn't the victim of a violent robbery where the threat was obvious and immediate. Its theft came slowly, a long con diagnosed as leadership, draining the public under the illusion of service and integrity. That's the quiet power of institutional corruption. It doesn't need to break the law when it holds the pen that rewrites those very laws. Scroll, please. Thank you. Whoa. Okay.
That's it.
The
You're almost
The
there.
Methuen Police Department did not function as a standard law enforcement agency for 18 years. The place of a normal institutional flow chart was a power structure built on 3 F's: fear, favors, and fraud. At the top sat Chief Joseph Solomon, a narcissistic, egotistical, and quick-tempered leader prone to tantrums. He didn't just run the department, he ruled it like the dawn of an organized crime.
It's on page 2. Family. Go ahead. Just go to the end of the sentence.
Family, using his badge not to uphold the law, but rather bending it to his will. He hadn't merely been in charge, he had been untouchable. Ooh.
Folks from Canton, remind you of anything? We're not as bad. You know, I told Larry when I was in college, I made the hockey team. I didn't play, but I was on the team. I played 4 games. That's it. But I also worked at some hockey rinks, and of course I had the keys, and we'd skate early mornings. And there was this one kid from South Boston that just came back from Europe, and every slap shot missed the net. He did everything but hit the net. And I'm on the bench, and I turn to my dad, and I go, dude, I'm just as good as him. And he looked at me and goes, no, you're not. And I was like, what? You hurt my feelings. And he goes, no. He goes, there's always going to be someone bigger, better, faster, stronger, you name it. People, as bad as our town is, and it's not that bad. But it is. I mean, like he said, you got red, yellow, green. There's worse out there. So just count your blessings that we're not Methuan. You know? So what happened to Eric? Where did Eric go?
He said, "You want me to read? Bye."
He did not. He went to the bathroom, didn't he?
He literally said, "You want me to work?" No.
He did not. He went to the bathroom? I'll read page 2. He's getting page 3. All right? He'll be back. I know. Oh, everybody hold your ears now. Solomon's leadership was never about law and order. It was about power and control. His outbursts were legendary, his anger unpredictable, and his need for dominance absolute. He demanded loyalty above all else, and when challenged, he retaliated with calculated precision. The message had been clear: fall in line or face the consequences. A mantra repeated to me in virtually every interview. Those who obeyed the chief, without question, were rewarded with promotions, inflated salaries, and job security that most officers could only dream of. Geez, Canton, $250,000. Those who questioned him faced humiliation and threats, or were forced out, or maybe stuck on midnights. Who knows? As for those who defied him, Solomon made sure that their careers, reputations, and even personal lives were destroyed. For nearly 2 decades, this corruption thrived. Everyone knew it existed. Many fought to dismantle it, yet every attempt failed. Early in Solomon's career, the walls began closing in on him when a key figure in an investigation abruptly took his own life, effectively shutting down a federal probe, like sparing Solomon from a federal indictment. Solomon was fired once by the city for mismanaging federal police grants, yet he somehow managed to claw his way back into power, returning bolder and more brazen than before. Cloaked in a false sense of invincibility, he earned the nickname Teflon Joe. After the Civil Service Commission ordered the city to reinstate Solomon as chief, he embarked on what appeared to be a calculated plan to extract every possible dollar from the city's coffers. His methods followed a pattern of boardroom-level genius, including lawsuits, contract negotiations, conferences, side businesses, double-dipping, strategic promotions, and hires. To his credit, investigators have been unable to find any concrete evidence of shakedowns and kickbacks. What do you know? What do you know? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Did Eric really did he just like go to the bathroom? Eric! Eric! He's never gone this long. Did he really say I'm out of here? He did not.
But like,
No.
I'm body language, so he's like, I don't want to read.
No, that's fine. I mean, we looks like Larry, you're going to take page 3, and then we're going to force Eric into page 4. I'm telling you. Let me roll this up. Go ahead. You start with it took.
It took years and millions of taxpayer dollars to settle Solomon's multiple lawsuits and appeals with the city, all ending in his favor, leaving him completely unfettered. After seeing what it cost the city to go after him before, to no avail, no one dared to challenge him now. Solomon's control extended into the city council, contracts, union negotiations, even the state's training system. Those avenues didn't work. He found ways around them, using backdoor connections to get what he wanted while circumventing those who could cause him problems. Over the years, he inserted his and his loyal followers, family members, into nearly every department of Methuan's government, He cultivated favors from politicians and state officials, strategically lending out his officers for stints at the DEA, FBI, and other agencies, not for their career development, but to keep his foot in the door and an ear open for his unprincipled purposes. Media was Solomon's playground, and he was the resident bully police department. You need to scroll that up because there's supposed to be a comma or something here.
Police department blogs. Yep.
Okay. Media was Solomon's playground, and he was the resident bully. Police department blogs, social media, press releases. The MPD did not publish any form of publicity without his explicit approval. It almost always included his name somewhere in the first sentence. Local newspapers and their reporters would either write favorable stories or face static from his lawyers or henchmen. Stroking the ego of the mayor at the time, an awkward, socially introverted figure, Solomon nominated him for a National Anti-Bullying Award, brought him into a weekly poker nights, and included him in multiple out-of-state police conferences. The reward for the mayor's loyalty was substantial, a salary package that not only a handful of police chiefs in the nation could surpass. Solomon also inserted himself into both sides of the police union contract negotiations, a glaring conflict of interest.
Wow. How much? Do you know how much he was getting paid?
$375,000. The captain had potential to make more than him.
Is Methuan a city or a town?
It's a city. It's a small city.
53,000. So it's like the size of Quincy?
I think Quincy might be bigger.
Quincy's a little bigger.
I think Quincy's a little bit bigger.
Holy crap. Eric! He's hiding. He's like, I ain't reading.
I'll take it home.
All right. Hold on. Let me get back there. Because it's on my... Okay. Go ahead.
In doing so, he helped orchestrate one of the most outrageous municipal union contracts ever signed. The result was staggering. Superior officers saw their salaries skyrocket, with captains earning nearly $500,000 annually. Coincidentally, family members for roughly half the city councils received promotions within the department, while two other councils quietly secured job offers on the force, a la Sean Fountain.
Mm-hmm.
One of those councilors, Sean Fountain, would eventually become Solomon's Achilles heel. In one of the most brazen public actions of his career, Solomon pinned a badge on an untrained, unqualified cop wannabe, handed him a gun, and unleashed him on the streets of Methuan. It was reckless, arrogant, entirely out in the open. And though it would take 5 more years, that decision marked the beginning of the end. After years of sliding by untouched, the first cracks finally showed in Teflon Joe's armor.
That's the beginning of your book.
Bam.
Yeah.
I know. And I'll tell you, it hits home. Oh, look who's back.
Look
who's back. Look who's back.
Really?
Sorry, my wife's in Colombia. She hasn't heard from me all day, and she called when I went up. Took a Brixton cider break.
Oh, I'll tell you. So it reminds you of every other town, right? It reminds you of this case. Look at half of the people. Don't want to get into the Karen Reed thing to combine it, but look at all the connections. You got everybody in the family that's all connected into the DA's office and the Boston police and the Mass State police. And it's like you get entrenched in this. How about the fact that he had his hooks in the FBI, right?
Whoa. Let me be clear on that. What I mean by hooks is he's getting information coming back from his officers about operations that they're doing. I'm not saying the FBI had anything to do with Joe being dirty,
right?
No, like that. Okay,
but the connection is that's how the previous chief in Canton was, with always doing the FBI stuff and having and I mean, when you have powerful people, we all saw his retirement party. It was a who's who of town, state, and federal level at his retirement party. Yep. When you have connections like that, you're untouchable.
And that's
hey, do me a solid. Hey, I need you to do me a solid. I got one of my offices, XYZ.
I mean, when you see what's in the rest of this book, it is going to horrify you.
Larry, when are we going to be able to get a look at that book?
It's going to launch the 2-week anniversary of their indictment, which is in October.
Excellent.
So they don't. So
Hopefully they'll have gone to. It's what we're in April now.
April of 25.
There's no way there'll be a trial before that. They don't even have a trial date scheduled.
Now, who audited Methuen?
I have no idea. Wasn't me.
No, wasn't you? No,
Nope.
but
I
were they?
Contract.
Were they even audited?
They just had an audit finally done. It's we were supposed to do the audit for them. That's how I made my connection with McNamara. Is we put in a bid and we were the selected vendor, and we were told that we were going to be the vendor. We got the contract all set. I signed it. The very next day, their evidence officer was locked up for uploading child porn. And he'd been the evidence.
Hey, was he really a firefighter, or did he pad that one too?
I don't know. Oh, him? Yeah, no, he was a legit firefighter. Sean was a legit firefighter. Well, I didn't look into his academy there, but I assume. With
the technology that we have and these days, and to have people still be able to slip by, it's amazing.
I'm horrible at computers. I can fake.
Oh, we know.
Yeah, I can fix.
We have a guest. We have a guest from Canton, Whitey, who's I don't know. Is Whitey in the chat? Digi? He was on our first show. He was on another show. It took him 25 minutes, and all you saw was his forehead for the first 20 minutes of the show. It was hilarious. He just he was muted. Then he got on. Then he was sideways. I mean, it was a shit show with him on there. It was but it's an age thing. We love you, Whitey.
It was a great show.
It was great. It was great. You're already ahead of Whitey because you were able to log in.
On time.
We've had people not be able to log in. I mean, hey, Boozy usually doesn't show up till 7:15. That's why we made it a 7:30 show.
Oh.
Normally the show's at 7 on Sunday nights. Boozy comes in around 7:15 after she does her laundry.
So I'll take you to a Bruins game when they decide to play again. You bring me a. Let
me tell you,
I'll bring you a beef from Supremes.
I am so mad at them. I knew years ago that this was going to happen, and everyone's like, you don't know anything about hockey. I'm like, listen. They're like, he's going smaller, faster. That's the way the NHL's going. I'm like, no, it's not. You still need the bangers. Look at all the teams that are always in it every year. It's the big teams, that can score and that can bang and wear you down.
Look at Ekblad for Panthers.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I was happy that they finally got rid of Junk DeBrusque. I'm done with him. I was happy. I'm unhappy about the coaches. Both coaches that they got rid of succeeded.
Yeah.
It's a Sweeney problem. And once again, people, it's the same thing in Canton. It's a management level. It's Sweeney. It's not the coaches. It's Sweeney. I look at I look at Helena compared to the head coach of the Patriots, not the head coach of the Bruins. Helena would be Sweeney in this instance, right? The head coach would be one of the lieutenants or the deputy chiefs running the show for the Bruins. Different scenario sports wise. Until they get back to the big bad Bruins who can bang and wear teams down and win games 3-2, 2-1. They should have traded Pasta too. Just blow it all up and start fresh.
Yeah, once you traded the heart and soul.
Yeah.
I mean, the play just dropped off. I mean, it was just
They had no answer for Bergeron and Krejci.
No.
Once they retire, once they're done, they didn't have anything waiting. I know we're gonna lose Boozy in this because I took Boozy to a hockey game just recently, and she was so confused. It was Canton versus Bill Ricca. Was it Bill Ricca?
Linda, I told you I understand hockey. I like the Bruins. It was the color of the jerseys because they're both green and white, and I was like,
no, one team was green and white, the other team was white and green. They were two separate things. It was confusing in the stand. It was confusing in the. It was confusing walking around the hallway around the pizza sections because I didn't know which kid was going to try to pop me one, but you know. So
Larry, if you do end up taking John to the Bruins game,
it's going to be a riot.
There's a good chance he's going to show up in costume.
No. I'm going to show up in that yellow jacket. I'll tell you that. That gets you places.
Hey, why don't you wear those sleekers again like you always do?
All right, let's leave that out of this. All right, so Larry, not only a book, people, Larry might be jumping into the social media YouTubing sphere.
We are planning to open up our own podcast, and it is going to be Bribes, Lies, and Alibis.
One more time.
Bribes, Lies, and Alibis.
Yeah, good, huh?
I like it.
And, I was hoping to be able to do some stuff outside of the state, but, there's a lot of stuff going on in this state, that just keeps dragging you back in, which is unfortunate.
Sorry, I was scrolling my fat finger. I don't have a mouse because Eric's got my little USB thing for my real mouse, so I'm using my laptop, and it's got a pad, and God forbid I touch anything. I don't know what I'm doing. So I didn't put that up.
What are you using right now?
I didn't. I got giant fingers, and I barely touch this pad, and things come up. So can you get rid of that? How do you get rid of that?
Your tripod.
There you go.
So
sorry.
Yeah, the first night I figured I'd do a half hour on telling them who I am, what I am, and why I'm doing it. And then
you need an hour. You need an hour.
But I was going to go into the second half and provide that class for the people to teach them how to protect their parents from this stuff. It's getting more complicated, and they're going to fall victim faster and faster because AI, because of the new technologies that are developing and everything else. Being able to fake statements, cards, banks, emails. I mean, I got one the other day, and I looked at it, and last second I was like, wait a minute, that font just didn't look crisp and clean enough. And then I reread it again, and I was like, oh, damn, they almost got me. So it does.
What other classes are you thinking of doing?
Well, we have a public corruption open resource class, and it's a 2-day class. We can do one. I think, the way it's configured is legal on the first day, because there's a lot of stuff that you need to understand between public records, FOIA, case law that can save you. But, you need to know what it is, principles, court decisions, things of that nature, because you start digging into stuff and you start saying things about people. You're going to find yourself getting sued or potentially getting sued. I
don't want that.
No, neither do I.
I might need to take that class. Yeah. Whereabouts will these classes be? Like, where is it? Don't tell me North Shore, right?
I need to find some place to teach it. So I don't care. I'll come down.
Revere, like Squire Road in Revere.
Yeah, no, I think those days are long past me.
All right. So, I mean, that's just an easy way to get to, it's an easy, right near the Rotary. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A hotel right over there. So maybe there's a conference room.
Yeah. And they always have the carnival and the Stop and Shop over there, right on the other side of the Rotary. The giant stuff.
They put the Amazon over there.
Oh, did they?
Oh, the movie theater's all gone. That's a giant.
Oh, it is? Oh.
That whole parking lot that the movie theater was on Route 1.
Yeah.
Entire thing is one giant Amazon.
See how long it's been a long time since I've been over to Squire Road.
Yeah, that's been there.
They used to have
7 years.
They used to have great pizza over there. I know. I used to deliver it. I used to deliver the meat, the cheese, and everything. Yeah.
Beth, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So you got the book.
Yep.
You got the Bribes, Lies, and Alibis
podcast.
Did I say that right?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Then you got classes for both, it's not just for older people, it's for the younger people to teach the older people, their parents and their grandparents on how not to, give money to, over to India or wherever, Middle East, right? Dubai. And then you have the classes the one I'm interested in. Hopefully you'll let me kind of sit in the back on that one. I don't want to pay for that one. I just want to sneak in, you know. Maybe I'll film it for you, huh?
Maybe.
I could film it for you and maybe make like a music video for you. I'm good at making music videos. I could do that for you.
Pro quo between two professionals.
Yeah. Or Eric, we could go live before and after the class. We're about to take the class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll work something out.
Sweet.
But you got to find me a venue. I don't.
Okay.
You know,
Oh, I can do that. I got someone that can find you venues. Trust me.
I'm gonna have to go get some cotton balls, stick in my nose for when I come south of that pike. That nosebleed is gonna start.
Oh, stop it! There's so much. We don't go north. The only time we go north is when we want to go to Hampton Beach. That's it. Oh! Did you see my in the video there? Did you see my Wally's shirt?
Yes,
Can't wait to go up to Wally's again this summer.
Hey, dude, when you're up this way, give me a buzz. I live right down the street.
Oh, I love Wally's. We take the bike up to Wally's all the time now. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we go up to up in Arundel there, the other tourist trap for bikers.
Come on over. We got the beach right across the street.
Yeah. What's the other one in Arundel with the big biker bar?
Oh, you had to ask.
Yeah. They got the giant pig always on a spit out back, and they got all the, yeah.
I can't think of it.
Some of the people remember. But anyways, so I'm going to ask one more question before we let you go, because it's going to tie into Sunday's show.
Okay.
What do you think of these First Amendment, these auditors? You can be Bentley's. That's the other one. Bentley's. Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, Bentley's. Thank you.
Yeah.
But
some of them.
There's better ways. It's
So it's not your thing.
What are you going to do? You get an "I got you" moment. I mean, if you set somebody up, it's called entrapment when we do it.
There's some of them I like, and there's some of them I don't. I think it's in the way they handle themselves.
It's the way they handle it. I mean, and that's it. It depends. I mean, you want to be the militant, no, I know my rights, I'm a sovereign citizen type of deal. I mean, no. I mean, you can ask questions. You're entitled to that. This is what is allowed in a free country. You have a right. But here's the thing. The roadside isn't necessarily always the right place to do that. You're exposed when you're out of the car. Okay, so from an safety standpoint, I don't want to have a longer conversation with you than I need to have. I want to get back in the car, end this call.
Where it's warm.
No, not even warm. I just want to get off the side of the road. I mean, think about how many cops get hit. I know how. Evelyn, they just put his memorial out at A3. He was hit and killed up in on 495, I believe it was. I mean, no, or Route 3. No, we don't like being out of our cars, especially on the highway. Yeah.
See, there's some I like, and then there's some I'm like, oh, you know what? You're just like you said, you're just really trying to get them or get a rise out of them or something. But there's some that I like. And there's some with this here, the FOIA stuff. Sometimes at least in Canton, that FOIA request was done on a Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. And they produced the materials within a day, but they held on to it for the 11 days that they could. Because in Canton, it's 10 days from the time you FOIA request it. But the first day doesn't start until the day after they receive the FOIA. So it's 11, right?
Right.
It's 11 days.
Yeah.
But you see at the bottom of one of the reports when it was generated and who generated it and what time. And you're like, they generated it immediately. And then they just sat on it. And they sent it out at the last possible minute.
Yep.
That's like playing, to me, that's playing games. Somebody's FOIA requesting something for a reason, all right? And you guys are like, nope, just sit on it. That's what I hate about FOIA requests. I was never a huge FOIA request person until all this stuff the last couple of years.
Right.
That's the problem. I have no problem going into an office and saying, hey, can I see XYZ? Can you show me that and let me look at it?
Sit on it? Why sit on it? If you've generated it, send it.
That's the problem. That's my problem with what's going on today.
That's why investigations take so long, because then you have 10 days, and then they can say no, and then you have to appeal, and then you have to potentially take it to court. They're not going to give you stuff if they don't want to. I mean, that happened with the Methuan investigation. I can show the MPTC deliberately withheld public records from a Boston Globe FOIA that would have exposed the potential fraud before I even started the investigation, but they didn't give it to them.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's from their own internal emails.
Where's Boozy?
She's here. Oh,
Yep.
There she is.
Wow.
Hey, Mullins. So Mullins is driving home. Is it that late? Holy crap. Mullins is on her way home. Yay. Hi, Mullins. That's my girl.
We are going to have to wrap this up because I have to. What time is it?
Larry had shit to do.
Larry, we didn't even believe you were going to stay on this long.
I got to go eat.
We had bets. It was like 45 minutes before you figured us out. Yeah. We're like, this guy's not going to think we're prepared at all.
I'm looking forward to having my side, having my podcast, because I'm much better on that side.
Really?
Oh, I don't like.
If you only saw this side, let me tell you. Okay, I'm gonna.
I'd rather be the investigator than the person getting investigated.
Well, before you go, Larry, we always ask everybody, what is your? Let's get your final thoughts.
I had a blast tonight. I don't think the product. You got a $200,000 product, is what you got.
198, right? Is that what it was?
5, I believe.
Yeah.
And so 198.5, and you got 198.5 worth of value. I'm not saying it's an all-star report. I'm not saying it's a junk report. I'm just saying there were missed opportunities. I would have done it a little bit differently. It doesn't mean what I'm doing is right. It doesn't mean what they did was right or wrong, or what I did was wrong. It's different tactics. And with the scope, it was so vague. You didn't have any guidance as to where to go with it. You had to look at it and establish what this was. There was a lot of liability in this for whoever took this job on. So,
that's the disappointing part of this whole thing.
It didn't need to be that way. We tried to help them figure out how to get because we knew what a $200,000 audit would give. We knew that a $200,000 audit wasn't going to satisfy the people with what they needed, because the people that put this together, that actually pushed this into process. I believe the IAC included Chief Rafferty after the award. She was sitting in on the IAC or something of that nature. Was that correct? Did I hear that correctly?
I thought she was. Yeah. After it left the committee. Yeah. Yep.
And she's part of the IAC. Okay.
Well, she wasn't part of the committee, but her and Duty, I think it was Helene and Duty. Maybe the chat will tell me that I'm wrong. I think that they were the liaisons after the committee opened the bid and gave. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So no, that's perfectly. I thought somebody read or something, and I was like, that didn't make sense to me. So I just wanted. Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah.
So you got a fair report for the price, and
So basically what you're saying is we got the Wish version. We got the Wish version of an audit, not the Amazon version.
No, because if they wanted more, if they wanted to get into stuff deeper, and this is what leads me to believe they didn't want more. Because
no, they didn't.
Because now you start looking into the accreditation issue. Now you have to start addressing how did you fall? You had it. How did you go here? And who's responsible? Because now you need to move it on. So it's the only way to fix it is to establish. You got to have trust, and that's only going to come with transparency.
How does Canton get trust back?
Transparency.
they keep, yeah, I know, Boozy, I know, but they keep
Transparency.
saying that they're trying to be transparent, but every time something happens, they're not. They keep saying they want to be transparent with us, but then they're not. And we have to, once again, we got to FOIA request stuff instead of them coming out with a press release or, anything. It's like, we don't want to FOIA stuff. We shouldn't have to spend our own money to find crap out.
Right now, it's us versus them.
Right.
I mean, I hate to say it, but that's what it is. And, because you guys are ruthless. I mean, I'm not saying
I'm trying not to be.
But I mean, I don't know it that well, but I watch what you guys do to these guys. And I mean, it's brutal.
Well, you saw my video, right?
I mean, it's brutal.
Not us.
It is us.
Boozy. But no, none of you guys. But look, something's got to change, and it's got to be a culture shift, and you've got to have buy-in from both. You got to have buy-in from the city. You got to have buy-in from the residents. You got to have buy-in from the police department.
Okay. Last question from me to you, and then I'll let them have a question each. Right? We're all going to ask you one last question. If it were you, would you be looking for a new chief, or would you go another route?
I'm going to go back to the sports analogy. You lost the locker room.
People, we know what that means. Got it. Go ahead, Eric. You got one for him?
I do. I'd like to know what Larry thinks about, Chris Albert has a brother that's on the police force, and there's going to be a big vote that comes up for, whether or not the select board's going to give Helena or the chief another contract. Chris, I believe, is planning on voting during that vote. Do you think that's a wise decision?
And he didn't vote last year, but he recused himself last year.
I think it's a horrible decision. He's an active member of the police department sitting on the city council. He has a benefit depending upon, he could benefit from that vote. But then again, if he goes and he votes against her, she could retaliate against him. So there's a no-win situation. So really, the only safe solution for him is to recuse himself.
Which he did last year.
And then you're going to have a hard time suddenly saying why you're going to vote for it this time. Because
why he's not recused himself why he did last year versus why he's not this year. Yep.
So I venture to guess that would not end well, because I venture to guess somebody would file an ethics complaint.
Yeah. Booze?
I would just want to know what best advice you would have for the citizens that are enduring this the most, the Canton citizens. I think on either side, but because I honestly think the officers are getting it from both sides. I think it just depends on what side you're on, just from stories I've heard from certain individuals. So what would be your best piece of advice? Because I know it's getting down to the point where officers morale is low, but at the same point, there are officers that are abusing their positions too on the flip side. So what would be your best piece of advice for Canton citizens right now in the thick of all this mess?
I guess I would have to say, I'll give you an analogy. My niece used to say she wants, I'm a bitch when she was graduating from high school. And I was like, well, there's two types of bitches. There's the classy bitch and there's the trashy bitch. So let me explain to you.
I like that.
You do not want to be the trashy bitch. You want to be the classy bitch. And what I mean by classy, you want to be the Beth Dutton. You want to be able to put a person in their place with their words, with your words, your education. That is what you do. You do it that way. There's a proper method to do this. Getting in a cop's face, yelling, screaming, and trying to have this outside is a joke. You're not going to win on the side of the road. That's not where it's supposed to happen. It's supposed to happen in the courts. It's supposed to happen in the city council meetings. And it's supposed to, if you don't like what's happening, if you don't like the IAC component, the makeup of the IAC, then you demand change. You vote the change in. You started down that road. You put a new counselor in. So you now have, when you take Albert out of that case, you have a 2-2 tie. I don't know.
Or 3-1. You never know. Could be 3-1 either way.
Well,
You know, it's not. It's got to be 2-2.
glad if I never hear
Right.
3-2 again.
Yeah, I don't want to hear 3-2 either.
I don't want to hear 3-2 ever again. But I think that's the way that you do it. You do it through education. You drive the people to the vote. You guys have done an amazing job in getting what you want by pushing to get that vote. You've shown people that there are ways to get what you want, that you don't have to sit back and wait for somebody else to give you.
You know, as you say that, there is a fifth curtain. Okay. So they keep Helena, whether they give her a 1 year or a 3 year. They vote in new select board members. The select board members now decide at any time they want that they want to replace her.
You got to buy
Now,
out.
if they replace her for cause, there's no buyout, right? But if they replace her, I've gone through her contract a couple shows ago, so that's how I know these things.
Okay.
I put it up on the screen and we went line by line through there. But if they replace her not for cause, then you're right. There's a buyout. And we know from watching all these select board meetings that they have, we call it a slush fund. They hate it when we call it a slush fund. The mitigation money from all the billboards, the millions of dollars that they have, right?
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, if she were to get put back in for a 1 year or 3 year, and then the board changes at the next election and it outvotes, and they could just say, we're going to pay for it out of the mitigation money. Because you can use it for a one-time, you can use the money for a one-time thing. You can't use it for reoccurring. You buy her out.
If you think that's what
So there is a fifth. So there is a fifth.
If you think that's what you're going to do, why would you give her more than a 1 year contract? Why would
Well,
you
no.
play? I mean,
What I'm saying is if it won out that she got in, doesn't matter for 1 year or 3 year.
oh yeah, no, you can fire her. Look, they fired the Braintree chief.
Yeah.
New Braintree chief within months for an issue, I believe, a couple of years back.
There you go. So there is a fifth curtain that they could just be like, all right, well, this board's putting her in. Well, we'll just wait till next year, and the next board will take her out.
I said Braintree. I meant Brookline. Just be clear.
Oh, Brookline just changed this? They fired this?
A couple of years ago, they had a new
Okay.
Brookline chief come in, and then he got fired shortly thereafter. So that is, sometimes they're just not a good fit right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So
So-
sorry to Braintree. That was
It's too close to Boozy there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a Mary Lou's in Braintree. There's not one in Brookline. Anyways, thank you so much for coming on with us.
Thank you very much.
We had fun. I hope you had fun.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
hungry.
And if when the book comes out, I'm gonna read it. It's like gasoline on a fire.
There's some of that in this book too.
I know. That's what I.
Fire?
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be a good book. Let's just say that.
Oh.
I got sauces. I got sauces. It's gonna be a good read. So yeah. So folks, one more time. The book's name.
6 Degrees of Corruption. The fleecing.
And then bribes, lies, and alibis.
That is.
Thank you so much, Larry. And seriously, even if they make the 500, I'll go to a Bruins game with you.
Hey, if I can, and I hope that I was able to help you guys get a little bit of clarity and understanding. It wasn't, this wasn't Five Stones issue. This was a Canton issue. This was a issue. It was, they had the answers beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we gave it to them. Because at that point I was like, we'll consult for you to how to write it and walk away from it. I didn't care. I didn't think I was going to get the job because of what my past, because of what I was, being a mass trooper, and with our involvement in this case, I didn't think they'd ever let me near this. So me writing that was to help you understand how to improve this. And then when somebody leaked it, well, that became a whole different story. And then we talked about it, and people have seen what was there, and it's kind of everything that we told you was wrong came true.
Came true. Absolutely did.
So
yeah,
not like
no, Five Stones didn't get bullied into accepting a lesser included audit. Five Stones money came in where the town wanted, and they agreed to it. So they didn't get bullied into it.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat was like, they got bullied into accepting. No, like we said, you get what you pay for. They were happy to take the 198. They went in, they did their job, and that's what you got.
Okay, just think of it this way: the people that I was bringing in start at $200 an hour. Think of where $200 an hour goes in an audit. These aren't. I mean, these professionals are at the top of their game and the expertise that they had, and so we couldn't have reasonably expected to come into this and do this for $200,000. I'm not saying Five Stones was bad guys. I mean, I looked at I saw the list of the agents and the agencies that they work for and everything else. The only thing that I think, and it was brought up, is there's no street cops there, but you don't know what their past were. So there's two guys from New Jersey. New Jersey's got their own issues with their law enforcement right. In regards to consent decree from the feds. So they have a different concept of how they operate. They operate under those guidelines. We're not there. So it doesn't look like they had any local support. So understanding the MPAC and things of that nature, maybe they should have brought somebody in from outside as a consultant here.
All right. Hey, are your seats loge? Are your seats at the garden? At the garden. Are your seats loge? I don't want to be nosebleeds.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a snob.
I can't.
Listen, my ex-wife used to work for Reebok. My whole 21 years of going to anything, I had seats in a suite. I don't sit with the little people. I'm a fancy.
Row 2.
I feel bad for anybody sitting behind
Row
you.
2?
Oh, okay. Dude, I'm in. I'll buy the pizza.
Bar pizza. You got to bring bar pizza.
Bar pizza. I'll bring the pizza. Thank you so much.
Hey,
all right.
Chat later.
You're awesome.
Larry. Have a great night,
guys.
Larry.
That was fun.
You gave him the commode treatment.
Are you
I
kidding
said goodbye to him. No, I didn't do the Gary. I didn't put Gary on
He
him.
was mid-sentence.
He was saying goodbye.
I'm proud of you for not booting him like you normally do, but you gotta be like, you have blue sheets?
I said low seats.
You have blue sheets?
I said low seats.
You have blue sheets?
I love that car behind you.
Isn't that nice?
It's all lit up.
Did you know she has red and blue lights?
No, I didn't.
No.
Oh, let me show you. I got to show this. Because he doesn't drink, so I saved it. But when he said, I like being on that side. Yeah, let me show you what that side is. Okay, that's that side tonight. Okay, that's that side tonight.
Wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Holy shit!
And that one that's not that's still closed is now open. It's open.
Oh my god!
And I didn't get up, Eric. I didn't get up once.
Yeah, I don't know how you pulled that off.
I
just don't get up.
hospitalized.
My dog got up. He moved to the floor. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Hi, neighbor. Oh, dude, he was awesome. Oh, he's still in there. He's still there. Look, hey, you're still there.
I didn't know the comments go. I was going to go back and read the 680 whatever it was.
Once you go off, you got to like swipe on YouTube. Yeah, I do the next morning. No, I'm not wearing a diaper. I have a camel of a bladder. Yeah. You missed it. Did you see that?
Oh,
like I said, I waited for you to go off. Oh my God, he was still on.
I'm going to go back and, we'll go, but yeah, no. So all that stuff will be up tomorrow.
Oh, it'll be up as soon as we, yeah. Oh yeah. It'll come up. You just got to go to YouTube and look at them all.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I don't. Yeah, I don't delete any of them.
Yeah, no, I was just curious.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a few,
Yeah.
a few haters, but whatever.
No, no.
Really?
It really wasn't.
We've been lucky.
Huh.
Shocking.
We had one show. We had one show that had a couple haters, and then the first couple shows of Boozy being on, there was a bunch of haters, and we just booted them. We're safe. I don't know. Could be jealousy. I don't know.
Larry, I got you back. You got mine.
What's that?
Yeah.
I got your back. You got mine.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, got your six. It's called Got Your Six.
Oh, I don't know. Mine.
Know the lingo. Know the lingo.
I just have a cop as my background. I don't.
All right.
Now I'm going home.
Now he's leaving. Now he's leaving. I didn't know he was still back there. I thought I got rid of him.
That's not how it works. He has to leave too.
Oh my God. That's awesome. See? We have fun. We have fun over here, even though that was serious. Right?
Wow.
We have a lot of fun, John.
I know. You know?
I
And we're
will
gonna
never
have
be a badge bunny ever, Michael Breen. I will never.
Oh yeah. She's no badge money yet. Yeah. No.
Hey, you know what we almost forgot?
I kissed a female cop once.
What did you almost forget, Eric?
Hey, can we go through those for the people? Can we go through those? Do we have some?
Yeah,
'Cause
you
I
have
know we got Richie Chainlink Schiffers in here. There he is. Richie, he loves it. And you know what else Richie loves?
What? What's he love?
Richie,
Give us fucking McDonough, and we'll go easy on you.
Yes,
I
he
love
does.
that one. I do. I love that one. That's my favorite. Qbert, we showed this one. Sergeant Murphy, yes, we have your back. The guy's green. I mean, just because you move out of town doesn't mean you're still not a Canton person, right? I love the Bulldogs. I mean, I was talking to Booze. You were there with me when we were talking to the guy about the Legion band. One of my biggest things, because I played the drums in the Canton band, in the high school band, and we did all the parades, and the Legion had their band, and I was like, oh, someday I'm gonna join the Legion band and march with them. But the parades, they don't have the parades like they used to anymore. So, but
What?
yeah.
Well, we were in a parade.
We were in the duck parade. We're doing that again. I'm telling you, we're gonna come up with something bigger. We got to bring some parades back to Canton with floats. When they had the block party, I drove a low bed float with all that was the most nervous I've ever been driving a truck is when you have like 25 people sitting on bales of hay behind you, and you're climbing the hill close to D&E there. You're climbing the hill, and you're like, oh, please don't just Just keep it in gear and just go nice. Don't be popping it or the clutch or anything like that. With all the people sitting on the back, and yeah, it was great that's the thing. They need to bring back that kind of stuff. Get everyone back into the center. Have a huge block party. Put all the restaurants. Let them put all their stuff out into the sidewalks again. Close it off for the day. Beth, thank you. Free Karen Reed. You know it. Absolutely.
So
Who else we got? Yeah, let's hope. Diane G. Kent deserves better. Shit, Grafton has better. We got a third. Yeah, well, because, you know why you guys are better? Because there's nothing to do in Grafton, okay? There's nothing to do in Grafton,
be nice.
right?
That's
You
not-
count caterpillars out there in the
And
spring.
what is there doing Canton?
Or what's
Well,
going
we
on
don't
now?
count. We don't count caterpillars.
No, you all just pregame and postgame all the kids' basketball games.
Yeah,
We count empties.
I know. Well, if they took accountability, people would move forward. It's the deflecting, the finger pointing, the hiding problems, not being transparent. Yes, Meatball Morrissey's Sketty Skiing.
I love the name.
Oh, hey, Eric. He was in the chat today. Should we do the moment of silence?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Hold on. Let's get rid of this. Right? Let's get rid of this. Go ahead, Eric.
So we really should have done this the last
beginning.
episode at the
I know.
beginning, and we should have done it at the beginning today. But this is, we'd like to have a moment of silence for Mrs. Jane Haverty, the one of my favorite teachers at the middle school, science teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And if we could have a moment of silence, that would be great. Thank you.
She used to electrocute us all.
In a good way.
In a good way. She had this board with a crank on it and 2 terminals. And she'd have you grab the terminals while some other kid would crank the hell out of the thing to see how long you could hang on to the terminals for. Yeah. It was great. That's how they taught you about electricity.
John, you didn't just lick a battery.
Give you a little thing, Here's another one. Here's Larry. He didn't pay for that. Let's take that down. He didn't pay for that. I'm not putting that up. Kidding. H-Rock Doctor. He's paid for other stuff. He's paid for stuff. I think that was it. That was just here you go. All right. So that was our people. We're still your hands would clench and you wouldn't let go. Yeah. It was just freaking Will I twerk? No, I won't twerk.
Why not?
I don't twerk.
Why?
My belly will twerk, but I don't twerk because my studio's not conducive to twerk. Why don't you twerk for us? Hold on.
Okay, you know what? Now that
I don't have the room.
Oh, now that we're almost done, your mic is so fucking loud.
Oh, why don't you guys tell me?
And since we're talking about you twerking, maybe we should land this plane.
Yeah. Okay. So Sunday night, people. Sunday night. I don't even know his name, but Mass Accountability. I don't even know which way I'm going with that mic now. Mass Accountability. We've seen his videos recently with Sergeant Not Too Good and Lank and Chris and Colin and his cemetery shenanigans is coming on, and we're gonna just have a little fun and discuss his trips back and forth. And mind you, the video in which Chris and Colin were in the police station, given their account of what happened, I took a piece of paper and I drew my own map of Canton and I started drawing lines of exactly what went on. And it's hysterical. I wish I could have put it onto a map and shown you, like, I went this way, I turned over here, I went back this way. Nope. And then I went this way and I went down the. It's like, dude, is that all you do is drive around Canton?
Yep. Why do you think he's a delivery boy?
Big fish in a little pond. Get out and see the world. Leave town. Get past those flock cameras. It's a big world out there.
I bet he visits the town spa from time to time.
Union Villa.
Yeah.
I love Union Villa. Union Villa, the steak tip Caesar salad. So good. So, all right. We made it 3 hours. 3 hours, people.
Wow.
We did it.
So much for one shows.
Stop it. All right. Let's see who goes first. Go ahead. End it for us. Boozy and the boys.
What do you mean end it? I'm not good at ending things.
All right. Hey, for those who are still here, do you want to see the video again? That's how we'll end it. We'll end it with the video. How's that?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. We
Yeah.
do.
What video?
Oh, wait till you see this one.
Oh, the video.
Which one?
The song.
The good one.
I've already seen it.
I know, but we can end the show with it.
There are people in chat that haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's video
but you have to
file.
twerk.
Oops, that's an image. I'm not gonna twerk. I don't have room. I got
Yes, you
flags
do.
and a dog under me. No,
You
because
can
he
stand
moved
on your
under.
chair and twerk.
I can't stand on my chair. The ceilings. I can touch the
You
ceiling.
have to bend your knees.
Play the video.
I'm pulling the video up. Stop your twerking. Why don't you go twerk? Is it this one? It's this one. All right, guys. So let me Let me get it ready. And then before it goes,
the Borough, Mass.
nope. I don't want that one. Let's take that one off. Remove.
We're so prepared. Thanks for
I
dealing
know.
with us.
Well, because I just came up with it. I decided, hey, let's watch the video on our way out. Oh, there it is, right there. Hold on, here it is. It's, oh my God, it's 3 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
I
know.
This is longer than 2 minutes.
Ah, shit. Okay, everybody.
Do the Macarena.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna play it, but I'm gonna stay and I'm gonna dance to it because I love this song. How's that? I'll split the difference with you. We're going to play it, and then we're going to leave. How's that? All right? Booze, splitting the difference with you.
Montana said, if you can twerk without bending your knees, that's
You know, I sit here meeting after meeting and absorb what I absorb, and that's fine.
How do
you motherfucker.
How do you? Wait a minute. Hold on.
Sipping ice dunks,
Oh, here it is.
breathing. I absorb what I absorb, yeah,
Come on,
that's
Eric.
a quote. Like a wet sponge in a select board coat.
And absorb what I absorb, and that's fine.
I'm not saying I'm wicked smart, but I play the part with all my heart. If someone speaks and I don't agree, well then it's misinformation, obviously.
Speaker gets up and they spread disinformation.
Oh, the
I
shirt.
absorb what I absorb, but that's fine. Just don't ask questions or cross that
We also
line.
have the courage to look in the mirror and ask hard questions.
Truth's a tricky thing in a town this small. It don't count if it makes me look bad at town hall. So go ahead, run your mouth, but I'll be sitting here scrolling sound. Just 'cause it's true don't mean it's right. If I ain't say it, it ain't seeing daylight.
And I just want it to be known that just because somebody says something doesn't make it factually true.
Now I ain't calling names, God forbid, I'm just saying you lied.
You lie.
Like a little bit. You brought
Little
facts. Well, that's cute.
That's cute.
But around here we prefer quiet truth. But maybe one that don't rock the boat or mention folks wearing a uniform coat. I'm all for speaking freedom and such. But if you speak facts, you're doing too much.
Let's call it what it is. It was salary fraud. A detective was paid for time that he
Instrumental
didn't
break.
work. His vehicle was cleaned with taxpayer money. Sick time was manipulated. On-call schedules were padded.
Sure, maybe I zoned out a bit during the audit or that dog thing, whatever it is. But when I talk, you better respect, even if I contradict myself mid-sentence.
It's negligent upon us.
Negligent.
The speaker gets up and
I absorb what I absorb, I owe it's true. I've got no plan, but I'll scold you. This ain't Boston, we don't throw fists. We just make you disappear off the minutes list. So mind your tone and don't be loud. This is small town gaslighting makes us proud.
Oh my God, Kenny Chesney's going to be singing this at Foxborough.
Knock on the door. Here we absorb and pretend we saw more.
You know, I sit here meeting after meeting and absorb what I absorb, and that's fine.
absorb what you
But I
absorb.
think it's negligent upon us that if a speaker gets up and they spread disinformation.
You're an idiot. And I'm going to explain why you're an idiot.
Bye, guys.
Good night, everyone.